So we got Glenn joining us for debate. So yeah, the quick context here is Glenn reached out to me. He said he wants to debate me on some of my, I guess, notions around Rollo. And since Rollo is never going to debate me himself, I guess I'll just debate avatars, the Rollo avatar. So yeah, so that's basically the backstory. So yeah, why don't you kick it off, Glenn? Give the just give the nature of your, I guess, disagreements.
I said my issue with you was your synopsis of the 9 iron rules. Yeah, you did a 10-minute video on the 9 iron rules.
Okay.
And I felt like it was very misleading and misinformational.
Okay.
And I have the 9 iron rules here. So if you actually could queue up your video, maybe screen share that. And
sure. We can do that.
Point out where my discrepancies are with you.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Do you remember which? I did several videos. Do you remember which one it was?
It was the one that you sent me.
I sent you one?
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, here, Glenn, look at this one. It was about the 9 iron rules. It wasn't in your phone. It was in your feed, your live stream a couple days ago. When you had that.
Oh, okay.
He made no sense, and then he kept on trying to talk about it with you.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Let me share my screen. 9 iron rules of Rollo Tomassi. Is it this one, right?
Yep.
The 9 iron.
Okay. That's the one. Yeah, let's just play the video and we can go through your critiques one at a time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Full screen it.
Not me trying to bash you. I think that you are trying to help men. I'm not sure if you're a grifter. I don't want to say that you are, but I think you are, adequately trying to, generally trying to help men out in the dating market. And but I just think that your synopsis of this was a little misleading or misinformational. So I just really wanted to debate these miscommunications, and then
okay, let's do it. So let's just jump right into the video. We'll just play the whole thing. Maybe I'll play it like 1.5 speed, so it's a little bit. Actually, we can just play it at a regular speed. I think that'll be fine.
Regular speed, and then if we don't mind,
actually, yeah, let's do 1.25 speed, so it goes by a little faster. Okay, let's do it.
Rules that Rollo Tomassi talks about in his infamous book, The Rational Male, and we're going to break down whether these rules are legit or full of shit. All right, so let's jump right into Rollo Tomassi's 9 iron rules. We're going to go in reverse order for dramatic effect. So rule number 9, never seriously self-deprecate with women you intend to be with. So he's basically saying just own your shit, right? Like, for example, let's say you were feeling off one night, you had a bad day. Don't send her a text like, oh, I'm so sorry, I was a little off that night. Just fucking own that. And this one is very true, 100% agree. So this one is legit. Rule number 8, let the woman figure out why she won't fuck you. Don't do it for her. So this is kind of weird wording, but what he's trying to get at is like, don't just fucking go in, just expecting rejection. Like, don't self-sabotage yourself. Like, give it your honest shot with every chick. Don't put her on a pedestal. Don't think she's better than you. And then, let the cards unfold. Like, if she decides not to fuck you, it should be because she decided that for whatever reason, not because you gave her a reason because you were insecure. And this one is also very true. So I would say this one's 100% legit, but this is not anything new. This is common, knowledge in the pickup community. Like, yeah, of course, like, if you have a goal, don't go in expecting to fail. Like, you'll fail if it comes to gym, if it comes to your finances, comes to your business, whatever. Like, you want to go in expecting to win. Rule number 7, time is better spent building new relationships than trying to save failed relationships. Very true as well. So again, the point here is that, like, okay, let's say you're in a relationship and your chick cheats on you, and relationship spirals downhill, and then let's say you give an opportunity to either work on that relationship and try to fix it, or go out and meet a new girl and start a new relationship. He's saying that your time is going to be much better spent trying to start the new relationship, and I largely agree with this one as well. As I always say, when it comes to dating, there's 3 factors, right? There's you, or let's say 3 entities. There's you, there's the girl, and then there's the relationship. So maybe you and the girl really like each other, but the relationship is bad because of let's just say a lot of resentment and shit that has happened. That's going to be very hard to overcome. It's much better than to spend all your energy fixing on that, because you're always going to have that elephant in the room. It's much better to just learn from your mistakes if it was something that you did. And there's always going to be something you can learn from every relationship. Even if it was 100%, let's just say the girl's fault, you still chose to date that girl, right? So that shows that you didn't select your mate to the best of your ability. So that's still something you can learn, and just apply that to your relationship. So this one is also legit. Rule number 6, women can't unconditionally love a man. So what he's saying is that, men sometimes fantasize that, like, I'm me, a girl who just loves me for me. And then, she's just going to basically unconditionally love me. And he's saying that doesn't exist, right? And this one is all.
I'm assuming so far you agree with me.
No.
Oh, okay. Because so far I'm just saying positive things about him. But okay, what do you disagree with so far?
This is especially 6, and I agree with what you're saying, what you're trying to get at. But let's really look at the rules, because I think if you're going to do the rules or repeat the rules, I think it's good to read them in the context that he wrote them in, so people can understand it, and then give your synopsis of it. Because you're just going the basic rule, but not really giving the meat of what he's saying and giving your own synopsis. So, never self-deprecate. You did a pretty good job at giving that explanation. If you don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It was such a bad day. I'm such a jerk. I'm such a dork. Oh my God." Yeah, great. You don't do that. Yeah, you know what? I had an off night. My bad. Let's move on. That was good. Rule number 8: never let a woman, or always let the woman figure out why she won't fuck you. Don't do it for her. Right? He's basically saying that there's no such thing as leagues. Guys saying, "Oh, she's out of my league." Well, by saying that, you just figured out why the woman won't fuck you for her. Let her figure that out. Let her determine whether or not you are worthy of her time or not. Don't just automatically assume that she's out of your league and not worth your time. It's a little different.
We're saying the same thing. I mean, that's basically what I said too.
But this is literally what he's saying. Okay, and then rule number 7 was right. It's always better time vested in new relationships than failed relationships. It's like digging in the trash can in the front yard for something that you think is valuable, but when you get down to the bottom of it, you realize it's not as valuable, and you just made a mess in front of everybody. That's really what he's saying when it comes to failed relationships. And you did a good job. I'll give you credit for that one, saying that it's better time invested in new relationships when something like cheating or something, drastic happened in a relationship that caused you guys to break. Because if a girl cheated on you, that's always going to be the elephant in the room in a relationship if you're trying to repair it.
Yeah, but we're literally 100% agreeing on everything so far. Like, what do you disagree with me then? Like, then we completely agree. You just basically said what I've been saying, right?
This is where we're wrong, though. You said, and I quote your words, I think you said, "Women are incapable to love you unconditionally."
Well, that's his rule, right? It's not mine.
If you want to play it back,
yeah,
play back a little bit.
Okay.
Rule number 6.
Okay. That you did, and still something you can learn and just apply that in your relationship. So this one is also legit. Rule number 6: women can't unconditionally love a man.
So yeah, so that's his rule. I'm using his.
Oh, I am rule number 6. Now read it. I have it right.
Women can't unconditionally love a man. Yeah.
No. I'm reading it. It says women are utterly incapable of loving a man in the way that a man expects to be loved. In simplicity, this speaks volumes about the condition of men. It is accurately expressed in pervasively nihilism that men must either confront or accept, or be driven insane in denial for the rest of their lives when they fail to come to terms with the delusion. Meaning that a woman could love a man, but she does not love the man the way that a man thinks that she ought to love him. See, women love idealistically. Men love idealistically. Women love opportunistically. That's why the story of hypergamy, you have hypergamy women always dating up, wanting to get with someone that's, you've been with somebody for 3 years, and next thing you know, she's not interested in you no more, but you've been doing all the right things. What is wrong? Okay. It's opportunistically in their love language, or if you want to call it a love language. But you never said women can't love unconditionally. And that's where I have a little problem with you, because you're quoting him, but not quoting him. You're misquoting him. And that's
I'm saying the same thing, but what you just said is much more like long-winded. Like, I can't fit all that on a screen. Like, that would be like 2 paragraphs, but the message is exactly the same. Women can't unconditionally love a man. Right. Yeah, exactly. They can't unconditionally love a man, like, means, without conditions. Like, if the man gets fat or becomes a leader or becomes needy, they won't love him anymore, which, yeah, I agree with that. Like, that's a rule that I'm agreeing with.
But but my problem with it is the verbiage. If you're going to quote somebody, then you got to quote them verbatim. And that's the problem. I say that essay is misleading. I'm not saying everything that you're saying is wrong. I'm saying that what you're saying is misleading, because he never said that, anything about unconditional love other than the fact that he doesn't believe in unconditional love. And the unconditional love is a lie that Disney has sold us, right?
Well, I mean, you're saying what was exactly the rule? It's like women can't unconditionally. What was it? Read it to me again.
Women are utterly incapable of loving a man in the way that a man expects to be loved.
Where's the unconditional part? I think you said unconditional.
There's none. That's where you're saying it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's still the same thing. This is just like, I guess, a much more short phrase way of saying it. But women can't love a man in the way he expects him to love, which means a man, the way men expect a woman to love them is unconditionally, right? Like where, oh, this chick just is fully like in love with me for me, right? No, there are conditions. It's based on.
You just said you don't believe in unconditional love. So if you don't believe in unconditional love, then you obviously don't believe a woman is going to love you unconditionally.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay, so then men don't expect women to love them unconditionally.
Well, some men do, for sure.
But yes, for those that
I'm different. I've been in the game for like 10 years. So yeah, what I think is largely different than what the average guy thinks.
Well, obviously, but what I'm saying is you're misquoting. You could agree that you are misquoting him.
No, I don't agree on misquoting him because I'm not saying this as like a quote. I'm just short. It's shorthand. Like the actual rule itself is like 2 paragraphs, so I can't put that on the screen. But I don't think I'm misinterpreting. Like I don't think I'm like.
Would you say you could fit women are utterly incapable of loving a man in the way the man expects to be loved? That's a sentence. I mean,
women aren't capable of loving a man the way he expects to be loved, but that's basically the same thing as women can't unconditionally love a man.
But no, it's different. The verbiage is different. What you're trying to get to, the point, yes, it's similar. But what I'm saying is the verbiage, the words that you choose.
But who cares? But who cares about the verbiage if the point is the same?
Well, you're saying words don't. By saying that, you're saying words don't have meaning. And
no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I don't think it matters what verbs you use as long as the meaning is the same.
But when you're saying like, hey, these are Rollo's 9 iron rules, and I'm going to just read them and quote them, then you're quoting them saying that this is what he said. And that's not what he said. That is misleading.
But the meaning, first of all, I'm agreeing with the rule. So I'm saying I agree with this.
But what's irrelevant is the fact that you're misquoting him. And you have to agree that you are technically misquoting him, regardless if you're saying, well, you put up a short version of a synopsis of what he said, you're still misquoting him.
Yeah, I guess in a way. I mean, I'm not really trying to like quote him per se. I'm just trying to like make the video like flow, and so I'm just trying to get like the summary of the rule. Like this is not in quotations, right? Like I'm not actually putting it in like quotations, which I think then would be misquoting. But yeah, I guess like technically you're right. I am like misquoting him in a way, but I don't think it's like in a substantial way that like ruins the meaning or is misleading. I think furthermore, it's a moot point because I'm agreeing with the rule. So that would be like, you and I having a debate, and you're like, yeah, man, I think that, in your video, you were correct and you made some really good points. And I'm like, dude, but like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, bro, I'm trying to agree with you here. Like, I don't know. I think that's kind of like a bizarre argument.
You have to look at it. If I was going to do a video off you and I said that, you said something about, being in an open relationship is, great. No problem. You girl go bang somebody, right? But you never said that. You said that, yeah, you've tried an open relationship, and and I go around saying, well, Alex saying that, yeah, he does open relationships and he lets his girl go bang whoever he wants. I'm generalizing it, saying that you've done it, but I'm misquoting you. In a sense, that's kind of what this is.
But you don't feel like you're kind of like just debating me on semantics right now? Like this is pure semantics?
On principle of it, because when you do a quote, when I do a quote of somebody, I'm quoting the words verbatim and saying this is what they said and this is what they mean.
Well, you got to keep in mind this is not a quote per se because there's no quote. So if it was a quote, like if I'm using an exact quote, there's going to be quotations. So
what is your title for this?
The 9 iron rules of Rollo Tomassi, legit or BS.
So then what you're doing is you're telling your audience you're reading his rules and you're giving your opinion of them. Right.
Well, I'm saying like those are the rules, and I feel like my summary is accurate. Like, would you say my summary is inaccurate in this? Like, I'm missing the point or something?
I would. I'm not saying you're missing the point. I'm saying it's misleading because if Rollo would say that he believes that women should love men unconditionally, or that he believes in unconditional love, then I'll be like, okay, then you have a point. But in all of his books and all of his work, he doesn't. He says he destroys unconditional love. So by saying women can't love a man unconditionally, it's almost like saying, but he still hopes that that men believe that unconditional love. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you have to say that he doesn't even believe in unconditional love, and he says this by also saying women can't love men unconditionally. Then I can agree with you on that. But the wording is a little misleading, and that's where I'm saying we got to be watching our verbiage. If we're going to be quoting somebody, we need to quote them. We got to do the due diligence of quoting them accurately and then giving our synopsis.
I think misleading is the wrong word. You can use the word inaccurate, and I would agree with it. Technically it's inaccurate, but misleading implies that I'm trying to change the meaning, which
Okay.
we agree the meaning is the same. So it's not misleading. You can say it's inaccurate, and that would be technically correct. But I think it's kind of a moot point because I'm literally agreeing with the rule. Like I'm saying this makes sense, and I don't think you're saying that like I got it wrong. I just like used the correct terminology. Which okay, I'll accept responsibility for that. I didn't quote him perfectly. Like okay,
but what you do to get wrong is that you only read the first sentence and not read the rest of it and explain that, and that's part of the whole rule. You read the first sentence of the rule: women can't love men unconditionally, or women are utterly incapable of loving a man the way men ought to, or thinks that he should be loved. Now men are going, well, fuck it. Now women just can't love me the way I ought to be loved, and fine, whatever, done with women. Because you have a lot of guys, not in your community, I don't know so much, but out there that will read just that first sentence and then go straight black pill and be like, oh, I'm going to be.
I disagree with that assessment for two reasons. One is because I explain it afterwards. I explain what he means, and my explanation is correct. And two, I'm saying I agree with it, which means like, hey, I endorse this rule. This is something I would teach on my channel, and my channel is not black pill or MGTOW. So no, I think because I explained it afterwards, I think you'd be very hard pressed to come to that conclusion. You can make the argument that I got some words, some verbiage wrong, and that I would agree with that. But I don't think like people are going to come to the incorrect conclusion because I use some wrong words.
But do you feel that a woman could love a man?
Of course, a woman can love a man.
Now, can a woman love a man for a long period of time? Because when he continues, if you continue reading, when he goes into the way women love opportunistically and way men love idealistically, I tell guys all the time, if you don't want to worry about your girl cheating on you or stepping out on you or not being interested in you, then always be the best option that she sees. Always work on yourself, always level yourself up, always be the best option she sees.
Yeah, sure, I agree with that, but what does that have to do with like what I'm saying?
Huh? That's what he alludes to in the rest of the Iron Rule number 6. He's like, women love opportunistically, so always be the best opportunity she sees. There's no such thing, but that's something that you're not saying in this.
Well, because I mean, like that's not really a fair critique because he has a very long book. He has a lot of books, and this is a 10-minute video. There's no way I'm going to be able to get every single thing he's saying in a 10-minute video. That's just like physically impossible. So I have to cut some things out. Like that has to be done. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a 10-minute video. This would be a 10-hour video.
No, I get that, but wouldn't you say that to do these right? Would you say to do these right that you probably should have done a more in-depth video? Like you could have this video.
No, I don't, because I think I got the essence of the rules correct. Okay. I think I didn't like this video is not like every single critique I have of Rollo or every single thing Rollo is right or wrong about. Yeah, that would be a 10-hour video because he has so much shit that he says. This is just simply talking about the iron rules, and we agree I got the essence of this rule correct. So I'm not even really sure what we're disagreeing about. Like I got the essence of the rule. I just didn't get a chance to cover all the other stuff he says. That's why I have more videos on Rollo. I have a video that's like 25-minute long where I get into more detail. But this is a 10-minute video. It's like a quick summary video. I can't possibly cover every single thing.
Hold on, you did admit that you were inaccurate. So that's what I was saying. And that's what I'm glad you admitted that because that was one of my problems. I was like, it's a little inaccurate. If you're gonna do a quote, you should quote somebody more accurately.
Well, again, I'm going to keep saying this. Like, I wasn't like quote. If there was a quote, there would be quotations, right? It's not a quote because there's no quotations. So this is just like my summary. Yeah, I used the wrong verbiage. Sure, I'll grant that. I don't think it like in any way misleads the viewer.
It's the principle. It's the principle. It's the principle of it. You have to admit that you could anytime somebody quotes somebody or read something that someone allegedly said. If I read a text from you and I in place another word other than a word that you said, then you would say, "Hey, I didn't say that," and that's basically what I'm saying. He didn't say this.
Right, but if you got the summary correct, I wouldn't care. Like if you got the summary, like I have a video on, for example, over gaminess, right? And in the video, I make the argument that over gaminess hurts guys. And if you're like, hey, Alex says that over gaminess is bad. Well, I don't actually say it's bad. I just say it doesn't work. Like I wouldn't make an issue of it. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Like you got the essence of my point across. I don't really care if you like use your own vocabulary as long as you didn't butcher my meaning.
But that's your opinion. That's all I'm saying. Is like what you're saying is your opinion. I'm just saying you were inaccurate when you read his thing. Since you don't want to use the word quoted, we'll just say when you read his iron rule, you were inaccurate in rereading it for the synopsis. And I'm saying that is when you're quoting somebody or going to read their work, you want to be a little bit more thorough.
I mean, I didn't read it verbatim. That's true. I didn't read it verbatim, but I did get the essence correct. I mean, that's like an interesting critique, especially because I'm literally agreeing with his rule. Like, we're not disagreeing on anything. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, this is just pure semantics at this point.
You can saw it semantics. I look at it, the details. It's the details. The details.
But do you acknowledge that in a 10-minute video, it's impossible to get all the details the way they should be?
Well, then you could have just made a 12-minute video and just read it 2
No, dude, it would have to be like a 2-hour video. There's no.
I agree, but I'm saying you could have put more time into it. But let's continue. Let's continue.
I mean, sure, I could have, but then again, like a 2-hour video has a completely different effect than a 10-minute video. Like if I do a 2-hour video, like no one's gonna watch it, So I do have like long live streams where I get more in depth, but this is like this is clearly meant to be a synopsis summary video. It's not meant to be like the full plot.
Again, even in most synopsis, they quote them better. They quote people better.
But you keep using that word, but I'm not actually quoting him. I'm just giving a summary.
Well, if you're
quotes,
Rollo said this, and that's not what he said. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm saying the rule is this, and the summary of the rule is correct, but the words I use is different. But even though those words are different, it still takes you to the same exact conclusion, which is like we're not disagreeing about where the conclusion that I'm taking people to. It's like, yeah, women are not capable of loving men unconditionally the way most men think. I'm using slightly different words to get there, but we're still getting to the same place. So I feel like it doesn't really matter. Like this is just shorthand, and like I don't think that's like me being disgenuine in any way.
No, but but again, like I said, when you quote somebody, you quote them, or if you're going to use somebody, the title says this is Rollo's 9 Iron Rules. So somebody that never read Rollo's work and they're watching your video, they're going to say, "Oh, well, it must be Rollo wrote this rule that women can't love men unconditionally. So that just must be in it because Alex said so."
Well, that's what Rollo believes, and that's what I believe. Like we both agree that women can't love men unconditionally. We all agree on that.
Love, period. But he's not saying not just women doesn't love men unconditionally. He's saying men can't love unconditionally either. So that's where I'm saying if you call it semantics, call it semantics you want, but it's literally still inaccurately rephrasing what he said. But let's move on. That's
okay. Sure, we can do that because I feel like we're kind of getting to the weeds. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is that, men sometimes fantasize that I'm me a girl who just loves me for me. And then, she's just going to basically unconditionally love me. And he's saying that doesn't exist. Right. And this one is also very true. So I think that a good way to put it is that women can absolutely love a man just like men can absolutely love women. However, let's say, you get married, right? And initially, she loves you because you're this, awesome guy who's there for her and who's just, high value. But then you start letting yourself go and you get fat. And then, maybe it's just, you're not on your purpose anymore. And you get a little needy, you get a little, grumpy. Maybe you don't fuck her as well anymore. Maybe you start losing attraction. So you're not into the sex, right? That love is not going to last forever. It's not unconditional. Now, of course, there are some exceptions. There are some situations where women will truly unconditionally love a man, like no matter how much shit the man does. But in reality, that's just not human nature, right? Like people fall in and out of love, right? So again, don't expect unconditional love. It's important to maintain attraction. If you want more information on that, you can check out this video.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really got the essence of it. I just used my own words to get there. But okay, let's.
So I think this one is also 100% legit. Like the only unconditional love that really exists is kids, parents, and pets. Rule number 5, never let a woman be in control of the birth control. So the point he's making here is that, like if you, let's say you start, where you're having sex without condom, a woman might trick you into thinking that she's on birth control, but then, in reality, like she's not, and then she's going to get pregnant with your kid, and you're going to be fucked for alimony and whatever child support. So this one, I would say, is largely fucking paranoid and bullshit. Yes, that will happen if you're hooking up with, let's just say, ghetto crazy girls who are like hood rats and who like their version of success is getting pregnant with your child and getting, child support, right? But normal, decent girls don't fucking think like that. Don't do that. Like, I can't imagine any of the girls I hook up with ever even entertaining this notion, right? So if you are hooking up with those kind of girls, I think the issue isn't like fucking hiding your condoms, but raising your standards, like hooking up with a higher caliber of girls. And also, like, it just seems like when you're going to be in a relationship and you're going to fucking wear a condom, like, that just sounds miserable. Like, one of the best things about being in an exclusive relationship is you don't have to worry about STDs anymore, and you're only sleeping with each other, so you can have sex without condom, right? Like, but that does involve some element of trust. Like, if you really can't trust a girl with that, then honestly, you should not be in a relationship because you can't trust her with anything else. Like, that just seems like extremely silly. So
okay, I'm assuming you disagree with my assessment here.
Yeah, because well, let's just say again, inaccurately stating what he said. He says, and I'll read it here: never allow the woman to be in control of the birth, not the birth control.
I mean, dude, that's literally like the same thing.
No,
what's the difference?
Is, and you can call it paranoid, but what he's saying is, if you are sleeping with a woman, protect yourself. Now, he didn't say in a relationship. Okay, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're married and you're trying to start a life together, of course, having kids is going to be something that you're going to be talking about and you're going to plan out accordingly. He's just saying, make sure that when a woman gets pregnant by you, it's on your terms, not her terms. And there was a video. There's also an article that the NBA came out with. I forgot what year it was. I think it was in like 2006 or something like that. And it was advising NBA players to, when they have sex with women on the road, to
I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Because women were taking the seed in the condom and trying to impregnate themselves so they could get these guys for child support. All right. And he's just saying, it's whenever you are going to engage with a woman and you're planning a future and you want to have kids, make sure it's on your terms and it's not on an accident. Like, if you don't want to have kids at this time, then you do the necessary things to prevent yourself from having kids. Be in control of whether or not when she gets pregnant and who gets pregnant. And I don't think that's something paranoid. I think that's kind of common sense.
Can you read the rule verbatim for me, please?
Yes. Never allow a woman to be in control of the birth. Meaning, never allow the woman to determine when she gets pregnant.
I mean, there's ways to there's different ways to interpret that. The actual rule is never allow a woman to be in control of the birth. Yes. The way I kind of interpreted it, and maybe I interpreted it incorrectly, but the way I interpreted it is that you should always like have to cover up. Like you can't, like, for example, if a girl's like, oh, I'm on the pill, like you can't trust her. Like you have to just still wear a condom, which I saw as being paranoid.
Let's say hypothetically here, Alex is at the club, right? Some girls, giving them the googly eyes. Alex is like, damn, she's hot. I'm gonna take her home. And you take her home and she's like, oh, don't worry, we don't need protection, I'm on the pill. And then Alex like, fine, I'm gonna go raw, right? Alex goes raw, busting her. And then 4 weeks later or 6 weeks later, she comes up to Alex, because actually she started looking at Alex's YouTube and see Alex got a little clout going on. He's doing something for himself.
I don't know if I have enough clout to be significant, but I see your point. Of course, I get that.
Pregnant and it's yours. And you're like, well, wait a minute, you were just a one-night stand. Shit, now I got to deal with this bullshit. I thought you said,
no, dude, I get all that. Like, I'm not like going out there and raw dogging random chicks. I agree with that. Like, yeah, obviously you want to be careful as a man, for sure. That makes sense. The way I interpret it, and like maybe I interpreted it incorrectly, but the way I interpret it is not so much that, like the way I think of it is like, yes, you should be careful. Generally speaking, try to wear condoms. Like, don't trust random hoes. But the way I interpreted what he was saying was like, never ever trust a girl with anything related to birth control. That's the way I interpret it. So as like a strong statement of like, never do it. No exceptions. If your relationship doesn't matter.
Also, what he's also saying is like, okay, if you think about this, do you know 10 to 30% of men are fathering children that they believe that is theirs, that is not theirs? That's
I don't know, but how would they even like prove that? Like they would have to be like genetic testing down.
The statistics, but that is a statistic. I think it was Pew Research that did that. And
sure, I guess I can kind of believe that. Sure, but what's the significance?
So the whole point of that is what he's saying is being controlled at birth is know that this woman who's pregnant is pregnant with your kid. Don't ever have the mistake of, hey, you know what, you hooked up with some chick one time or a few times raw, and now she's coming back saying that she's pregnant with you, with your kid, and now you're going to be taking on this responsibility because she told you it's yours, not knowing that if it's yours or not. That's really what he's trying to say, is like, protect yourself, because you don't know necessarily whether or not, until you get a paternity test, whether that child is yours or not. And in most states, the doctors, when they do the blood work, they don't have to tell you whether or not that if the child is biologically yours or not, unless you petition for a paternity test. So what he's not trying to be paranoid, he's just telling guys, hey, protect yourselves when you're out there, laying the pipe, playing, plumber with these chicks. Protect yourself and wear a condom, which is common sense.
Yeah, I agree. That's common sense. That's something I also do. I mean, I think we just interpret this rule differently. Like, we just interpret it differently. Like, I interpret it as him.
But would you think, like,
the way you interpret it makes sense. I agree with what you're saying. Like, everything you're saying makes sense and has always been common sense to me. So I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said. I just didn't interpret it in that way. Because again, and that could probably lead to the next point that Rollo maybe could have worded that a lot better and could have said it like, hey guys, listen, be careful when you're fucking around. Make sure you don't accidentally get random hoes pregnant. Like, that all makes sense. And then I wouldn't be like criticizing that. But the way, I think this is just poor wordage on his part. But honestly, that's not how I interpret it.
Well, I'm not sure if you watched any of his videos or read any of his material.
I watched a good amount of his content, yeah.
When he done the 9 Iron Rules back with, this is years ago. He really did actually explain this. He did like an hour and a half podcast on just this rule alone. What does it mean? And he goes into detail talking about it. So, yes, he was very straight to the point, never allowed a woman to be controlled at birth. But when he actually, expands on it, he tells you what he's talking about. Even with what he's just said right here, again, you inaccurately quoted him. You said never be control of the birth control, So that was.
I mean, I didn't like. Okay, you keep using the word quote, but I keep telling you I'm not quoting.
Okay,
no quotations. I took 2 words and I got them wrong, and it wasn't intentional. But okay, I'll agree to that. But it's like the rule is pretty. The way he words it in the book is pretty. I guess like vague. So you and I just interpreted it totally differently. Like,
okay, that's fine. But would you say the way that I interpreted it would be a little bit would you make you agree with that rule?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's cool. We can move on.
Yeah, no, I think that's common. That's common sense. What you're saying. Yeah, I've always agreed with that. Yeah, of course, you don't want to go around busting in random hoes. Like, that makes sense, obviously. But I think also, dudes, like, you don't want to be paranoid to the point where like you have sex with a girl and the only thing you're thinking about is, oh fuck, I hope she doesn't go in the bathroom, dig up the condom and put it in her pussy. Like, the kind of chicks, normal girls don't do stuff like that. It's only like ghetto ratchet chicks. Going back to the basketball thing, what you were saying, the reason they had to tell basketball players that is because basketball players are notorious for fucking ghetto ratchet chicks. Like, normal, regular chicks don't do shit like that. They don't go in the condom, dig out condoms and fucking drip it in their pussy. That's like really ghetto ratchet behavior. So I guess the point I was trying to make is like, hey, like, obviously use some common sense and precaution, but don't be paranoid. Like, if you have a girlfriend, like, don't feel like you have to wear a condom all the time. Like, if you trust your girlfriend that you can fuck her raw, it's okay.
Would you agree that the statement is, if common sense was so common, everybody would have it?
If common sense was so common, no, because a lot of people are really dumb, and a lot of people don't have any common sense.
Common sense. People don't have common sense no more these days. So you and I can say that's common sense. We get it, but most men, younger guys, people that are not aware, don't get it. So he has to word it in a way. The way that I regurgitated it to you, you call it common sense, but it's a way because there's a lot of people that don't have common sense, and you just admitted that. So it's like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with I understand what you're trying to say, but I don't think it was as paranoid as I just said it. Because I don't think the way I said it was paranoid. I think it was just covering your bases, protect yourself from any misfortune that you don't want to have.
We're both kind of doing some speculation. When you say something in a very vague way, then that leaves it open for speculation. And so I'm not saying that maybe your interpretation is correct. It seems like you're a lot more familiar with Rollo's content than I am. Like, I didn't watch that hour and a half video. I have watched a good amount of his content. So maybe your interpretation is the correct one. But it was worded in a very vague way, which is why I interpreted the way I did. And you interpret it differently. So that's fine. Again, like that, I think the lesson here is mainly for Rollo is to be a little bit more concise, so that people don't misinterpret it. Because like you can see in the video, it's not like I'm just disagreeing with things for the sake of disagreeing. I wound up agreeing with the 6 out of the 9 rules. So like I agree with like 60% of his rules. So it was like an honest misinterpretation, I guess. If it is indeed was a misinterpretation, but it sounds like it is.
Would you now say that it's the way that I just interpreted it? Would you say that's legit and not BS?
Assuming that you're factually correct, then yes.
Yeah. Assuming, I'm just hypothetically.
Yeah, assuming you're factually correct, then yes.
Okay, cool. Can we go?
Yeah.
This one is bullshit. Rule number 4, never live with a woman who you're not married to and don't plan on marrying within 6 months. The logic he's using to justify this is that if you're living with someone, you can get what's called common law marriage. And so, like, let's say the relationship ends, she might fuck you over because, again, you're technically common law married. So first of all, this will heavily depend on the state that you live in. In some states, common law marriage doesn't kick in until like 3-4 years. Some states don't have it. So I think a good place to start is to actually look up the law in your particular state when it comes to common law marriage. Secondly, I would never, ever consider marrying a girl. And yes, I might in some alternative universe get married one day. I would never consider marrying a girl who I haven't lived with for an extensive period of time, because you really get to know someone like some next level shit when you guys are living together, right? And why would you consider marrying a girl who you haven't lived with for an extensive period of time? So I just don't really see his logic. I understand the point he's trying to make, but I just don't agree with the logic. So this one I would say is largely bullshit.
Okay, I'm assuming you disagree with that, or
I just want to elaborate a little bit and just a different perspective. I'm not going to agree with you. I'm just going to give you a different perspective.
Okay.
Right? When he's saying never live with a woman, never under any circumstances live with a woman you aren't married to or not planning to marry within 6 months.
Right.
Now, he said the 6 months was arbitrary. He said it could be 9 months, it could be a year, whatever works for you. What he's trying to say is like, look, once you move in with a girl, the mystery is gone to the extent of like you're always there. She knows that you are no longer you don't have the surprise advantage anymore when you're living with a chick that you're not planning on marrying, because it's like, well, what is he doing? When you're not living with the girl, what is he doing? Oh my God, I haven't seen him in 3 days. Oh my God, I want to bang his brains out. When you're living with a girl regularly, it's just like, oh yeah, we could just no, we don't want to have sex tonight. We'll have sex tomorrow. Like it's also like he's saying like, hey, like if you want to keep things going and keep things hot and fiery, don't be rushing and moving into with somebody that you don't really want to commit to in the long term. And he's also saying this as in like, don't just move in with the girl, because he never said anything about common law. What he actually quoted was,
I never said he did say anything about common law. I'm just trying to figure out his logic.
Yeah. What he was trying to get at is like, look, you move in a girl into your place. Now you're living together, right? And everything was hot for the first 2 months. Now things are starting to slope down. Now you can't go out and find a new girl, because technically she has legal rights when you put her on a lease into that place. You can't kick her out. It's like, unless you're really committed and you want to marry this girl and you guys are going to get married in like 6 months or a year, then you could go ahead and move in. But if you're not really sure, and you're just still kind of just dating and you're just kind of doing it for financial reasons, like, oh yeah, we could save money if we live together, like that's a bad reason, because anything can happen during that time. And let's say you guys break up. Now you're stuck paying for a lease that she kicked you out of, or you decide to move out of, and you're still financially liable for that lease. He's saying it's not smart to just move in with the girl, at all. Like, just unless you know you're going to marry her. Like, it has nothing to do with common law, because everybody that's looked in common law, there's no common law that says, 6 months you're together. Like there's no state in the world or in this country that has a common law rule at 6 months. Most of them is 3, 5, and 7 years.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with common law. It's just saying, like, hey, why tie yourself down to somebody you're not sure? Why play wifey? Why play house with somebody you're not sure you really want to be with in the long run? Yeah, and I understand your logic. Like, well, when you're gonna get with somebody, you're gonna want to live with them for a little bit to make sure that you really want to move in with, to move on with them. And
yeah, like my issue with this is that he's completely getting this reversed. Why would you ever marry a girl who you haven't lived with for an extensive period of time? Like, the first step is to actually live with her, because if you haven't lived with someone for a period of time, you don't really know them that well. So of course, like this, like he literally has it flipped. Never, like, I think the rule should be never consider marrying a girl who you haven't lived with for 6 months. If he said it like that, like if he flipped those things, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. But he literally flipped those things, and it's like, never live with a girl who you don't plan on marrying within 6 months. My argument is that those two things should be reversed. I think you'd be hard pressed to, like, basically, disagree with that.
Okay, what I'm saying is the disagreement is,
like, would you ever, like, for example, like, what do you think about this? Would you ever marry a girl who you haven't lived with for an extensive period of time?
I would never marry a girl that I wouldn't live with a girl, for one, that I wasn't planning on getting married to in a short amount of time. Not like 6 months, maybe about a year. Like the girl, my girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years, and we lived together off and on for 3 years. But and she is wifey material. So when the time comes, that's something that, when I'm ready for doing that, that's when we'll do it. But I wouldn't say that, like, and I agree with you. I'm living a lot longer with her, a lot longer, but we're already committed. We have a lot of business investments together.
You guys live together?
Yeah.
So you're breaking the rule.
No, it's not a rule. It's more of a. I mean, yeah, you can say I'm breaking the rule. But when the time
you are, because you're living with a girl, you've lived with her for 3 years, and you haven't married her yet, so you are breaking the rule, which is fine. It makes sense, but I'm just saying.
Essence of the rule. I'm not breaking the essence of the rule, because we're already committed, and like I just haven't done it with the state. I don't ever plan on getting married with the state. Does that make sense?
But I mean, this is I feel like now you're kind of digging. Like, the rule is literally can you read the rule verbatim for me, please, again?
Yeah, never under any circumstances live with a woman you aren't married to or not planning to marry within 6 months.
Bro, you're literally breaking that rule.
Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm disagreeing with, like, what you're saying about the rule. I have no problem saying, like, this rule and me, like, it doesn't apply to me. I don't live by these rules, these 9 iron rules, like, oh, thou, like they're the 10 commandments.
So you agree that the rule is pretty dumb, because otherwise you wouldn't be breaking it.
I agree that the rule has legitimate foundation, in the sense of, don't get involved with somebody that you're not going to be committed to for a long period of time, like for the rest of your life type of thing. Don't get, like, I know with my girlfriend, like, we've been together, I've known her for over 4 years. We have been through a lot of things together. We have business together. We do business together. We're both in the same industry together. We're out here in Kansas right
now. I get it. No, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong in your situation. Like,
I'm saying it's different from what he's trying to say. He's trying to tell guys, don't just meet a girl, think everything's great, move in with her, and then 6 months later be like, oh shit, now what do I got to do? He's saying,
listen, that is like purely your interpretation of the rule, and it is, I think, an interpretation that wants Rollo to be right. Like, if you actually look at the rule verbatim, the way you read it, literally, like, it makes no sense. It's like, Okay, let me ask the question like this. Do you think if you want to have a serious relationship, what do you think the first step should be? Marriage or living together? Like, what do you think the first step should be?
I think it should be dating.
Dating, but you want to take the next level.
I'm not gonna give it to you like moving together and then marriage. No, I'm gonna give it to you date.
Okay.
Vet them for a while. When things propose, if after you dating with them, propose to them. Because the proposal is not guaranteed. You're like, hey, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, whatever. Let's take this to the next level. Now you propose, okay, move in, have a wedding plan date, get married.
But why would you propose before you try living with each other?
Because a proposal is not promise. It's not concrete. I mean, how many people break proposals all the time? It's just saying like
you can break a proposal, sure, but like why would you even like? I mean, at that point you're heavily leading her on. Like, why not try living together and see how you guys do in close quarters before making the decision? Hey, do I want to just keep dating this girl? Do I want to have her be my booty call? Do I want to like? Why would you like think about even going to that? Like, marriage is, in my opinion, well, actually, the most extreme step is having kids. The step below that is marriage. Marriage is the second most extreme step. Why would you go there without trying out living with a person? Like, that to me seems like the next logical step. You've been dating, you like each other, you want to take things to the next level, try living together. If that works well, then consider marriage, but not before that. Doing it the other way is just crazy to me.
I think that's what he's saying. But the 6 months, as he said, is arbitrary. He's not saying like it has to be 6 months. He's saying like
it can be 9 months, right? But I don't have a problem with the 6 month thing. I have a problem with this whole idea of putting the horse before the carriage.
Okay.
What's it called? Like actually marrying the girl or proposing to the girl before you live with her. No, like I'm saying the horse is before the carriage. It should be the other way around. Live with the girl, then the next step is marriage, not the other way around. And it sounds like in your personal experience, you agree with me because you've also did it that way. You decided to live with a girl for 3 years, and now you're thinking maybe down the line of marrying her. So it sounds like in your own personal life, you agree with me. Like, yeah, of course you want to try living with her before I go to the next level of marriage.
Yeah, I mean, again, what he's trying to say is there's an order of operations to do it. And he's like, first you date a girl. Everything's great. Okay, now things are taking serious. You guys are talking about getting married. Because you got to look at it like the way things are operating these days, people moving in together and playing house, a lot of people break up that way and things get bad for them. Like, oh, I thought everything was great.
But they would have been a lot worse if those people were married and if the state was involved. Like, the order of operations is wrong. That's my issue. Before the marriage, it should be the living together. So I'm saying he got those two flipped. So yes, I agree. People move in together and shit falls apart. But if those people were married, the problem would be exponentially worse. So it's definitely better to move in together and have the relationship not work out than get married and then have the relationship not work out.
But you also understand that there's more invested value when you know, like, hey, we're getting married and we're committed, and there's a commitment level there. And then
but you should never go there unless you've lived with a girl.
That's what he's saying. Don't live with the girl.
No, he's saying the opposite. He's saying don't go to don't live together unless you've done unless you're planning on getting married. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying don't even consider marriage unless you've lived together. We're disagreeing on the order of operations.
Yeah, I can live with that. I mean, that's if that works for you, that's fine. But what I'm saying, like, the reason why
it sounds like it also works for you. Like, I think you agree with me in your personal life.
Well, I mean, my situation works for me the way it does now. I'm not saying my situation is the way that every guy should do it. I agree with what he's saying, that for the general sake for men, don't move in with somebody that you're not committed to wanting to spend the rest of your time on this rock with. Okay? Because that is going to be a bad investment. But
you don't know if you want to spend the rest of your time on this rock with a girl unless you've lived together, because you don't truly know a person.
Somebody, I mean, like, me and my girl didn't live together for a long time, for a year and a half before we even got together, before we moved in. We didn't live together for a year and a half.
Yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense. But what I'm saying is you don't truly know someone that well. Yeah, you can know someone pretty well, but once you live together, you get to know them a whole lot better. So in the order of operations, you would want to live together before you consider like permanent commitment. Of course, there should be some commitment before you consider living together. But before going to the next level and getting marriage involved, which I think in of itself is a fairly bad idea for most men, before doing that, try living together and see how you guys do. Maybe you'll discover some things about her you don't like. Maybe she fucking farts in the middle of the night. Who knows? But like, you want to find that out before you get married.
And that's where the 6 months is. He's like you're planning on marrying this chick. So let's say you got a girl and you guys move in together and you're planning on marrying this girl. You like her a lot, right? And then 6 months down the road, you're like, you know what? This is not the one. This is not the one. Well, good. You figured it out within the 6 months you're living with her before you got married, but you were already planning on getting married to her. But now you realize after living with her for 6 months, she's not the one for you.
But the problem is the rule should be reversed. It should be never consider marrying a girl who you haven't lived with for 6 months. That's how it should be.
Okay, I can agree with that. I can agree with the verbiage thing. It could be. I would say that would be a better or easily.
That is something I can agree with. That makes a lot more sense to me. Never consider marrying a girl who you haven't lived with for at least 6 months. Maybe it's 9 months. Maybe it's 5 months. Maybe it's a few years. For me, it would have to be a few years. But never consider marrying a girl who you haven't lived with for an extensive period of time. That's how the rules should be, not the other way around.
I can agree with that. I mean, I think the same outcome would be available. Wouldn't you agree?
No, because when you flip those, it has a completely different meaning. That's like saying
no, the outcome will be the same because you still get to live with her for at least 6 months before you decide marrying her.
Shouldn't you wait? Say that again.
If you live with her for 6 months, right, and you're like, okay, we're taking things to the next level. This is going good. We could get married now. Now you're already getting married, or you move forward with getting married. Now you're living. Same thing as Rollo was saying, like, okay.
No, because the premise is that you want to have an idea of before you even move in with her that you're going to marry her within 6 months. I'm saying you're not capable of making that decision until you've lived with her for an extended period of time. You can't make that decision if you haven't lived with her for a period of time. So yeah, it would be like saying like, okay, like you can take a statement like never start a business with someone before before you sign a contract, right? But if you flip that and you say never sign a contract if you don't plan on starting a business, like you by flipping those, they can mean two different things and can have two completely different effect. So like flipping things can have a totally different meaning. But I don't think we're even disagreeing on much.
No, we're not disagreeing much on that.
We both agree that the rule should be flipped.
I would say the rule. Yeah, I would say the rule should be reworded.
Yeah, those two things should be flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's basically what I'm saying too. Okay. So let's keep going.
Rule number 3: any woman who makes you wait for sex isn't worth it. So what he's trying to say here is that, like you shouldn't be with girls who use sex as a power play, who are using sex as a form of currency to manipulate you and get you to do shit. So definitely very much agree with that. Like any chick who ever tries to use sex as a form of control or power, like that's the last time she's going to see with you. That's a very unattractive behavior. And most girls will not do that because they realize that's kind of fucked up. Also, sex shouldn't be something that's just for the guy, right? Pretty much in every relationship I've ever been in, the chick wants to fuck me more than I want to fuck her. And that's not to say I don't want to fuck her, but sex is women can typically fuck more than men, and if sex is something that's for you and not for the girl, then you have another problem, right? So that's the first thing. The second big part of this is that you should apply common sense to this. So yes, any girl who tries to use sex as a form of control should be out. But let's just say, for example, your girl is really sick that one night, okay, so she can't fuck. That's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not a shit test. Or let's say, for example, you just met a girl and she feels uncomfortable having sex on her period. That's okay. You can try, but if she's not down, then just give it a few days. That's okay. Or let's say you meet a shy and experienced girl, has a low late count, and for example, she's not comfortable having sex on the first date. That's also okay. You can wait until the second or third date. Also not a big deal. So this one I think is largely legit.
So yeah, I mean I agree with him. Do you have any criticism with this?
I think what he was trying to I'll just say what I was trying to say, and then I think we kind of line up, but I think it's just differently presented. He's a woman that for sex by her action implies she's making you wait for sex. Sex is never worth the wait. And what he's basically saying is look, any woman that like you say you go on a date and the girl is like, you go on 4 dates with this chick and you're not getting anywhere, right? And she's like, oh no, I don't have sex until I get till at least the 5th date. These rules that she's putting up. Because a woman knows whether or not she wants to fuck you within the first 5-10 minutes. Okay, in most cases, and I think you could agree with that. Like she already knows whether or not if she would be interested even in going that far with you. She's probably already thought about it.
I sort of agree. A girl knows if she would be interested in the idea of having sex with you, but she might not have made her mind up to fuck you. Like she might not make up her mind to fuck you until much later, but she knows that she's interested in the potential of fucking with you. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, like, you know, basically saying the girl that puts up the rules that's saying like, oh, I don't have sex until the 5th date or something like that. Any woman that puts a rule on you, she'll break a rule for the guy, you know, the Alex at the phone camming party with his 6-pack abs, and you know, she'll run by him and she might just bang him the first night. You
Sometimes,
know, that's what he's trying to say. Is like a woman that's going to put rules on you is her making you wait for the sex.
It's not worth it.
Never worth the wait in the long.
No, and I agree with that. I like that's why I said I agree with this rule. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. This rule makes sense. Like I'm agreeing with it. Yeah, okay. Let's keep going.
Shit, as long as you apply common sense to it. Rule number 2, never share the amount of sexual partners you've had. So the argument he's making here is that if you tell her about your sexual past, you're kind of giving the power away. And I think this one is 100% fucking bullshit. I'm actually surprised he wrote this because Rollo seems like a pretty rational guy. Yeah, rational male, rational guy. And I'm just surprised he would even entertain this logic. Like this is such fucking nonsense. Any girl who I've been with, you know, for any kind of extended period of time, I've shared with her my sexual escapades. Like I'm not shy about the number of women I've had sex with. Like it's not a big deal. It doesn't make the woman lose attraction. It doesn't give my power away. Like it's a common thing I'll talk about with girls who I'm hooking up with. Like I love to ask, so what's your lay count? And then like, you know, I just love to like, you know, just like hearing about their sexual past. Like it's always funny stories, hearing about their, you know, chody boyfriends or weird guys they've been on dates with, and, you know, sharing funny stories that I have. So this one I think is 150% fucking bullshit.
Okay. I'm assuming you disagree with that.
I think that you're just misunderstanding what he's trying to say.
Okay.
And I'm going to quote Rich Cooper. Have you ever read Rich Cooper's work?
Yeah, not the biggest fan. He's the only person in the history of my podcast to flake last minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, guys, I'm loosely quoting him here.
Okay.
It says guys have a tendency to complicate their life, right, by their actions and the things that they. And what Rollo is trying to say here is like, look, don't complicate your life by leave it a little bit of mystery. Have some mystery with it. So how many girls you've been with? You'll be the first for the first girl tonight. You know, like, you know, just leave a little mystery. If you tell your girl, like some girl, oh yeah, like I think you have a 500 lay count. I think that's what was quoted. I heard, you know, like that you just gave her stupid fuel down the long run that she could try to throw in your face. Like, oh, you probably fucked that girl too, didn't you? Like you and your girl could be in an argument and you could be somewhere like, oh, you fucked that girl too, didn't you? With your 500 lay count. He's basically saying like, don't disclose information that you don't necessarily need to tell, but it's not going to be pertinent to anything. Like it's not going to benefit your sex life with her, knowing how many girls that you banged. You know what I'm saying? Like just leave it a mystery. She doesn't.
Can you read the rule verbatim for me, please?
Yeah, it says never under pain of death, honestly or dishonestly reveal a number of women you slept with, or explain any details of your sexual experiences with them to a current lover.
Yeah, so that's completely different than what you're saying. I agree. Yeah, have some mystery is good, sure, and don't overcomplicate your life, sure. But that's the rule is literally never under the penalty of death. And maybe he's being hyperbolic, fine. But it's a strong statement. It's never reveal your sexual history to a past or current lover. Like that's not the same thing as you're saying.
Like I think he's being a little bit
hyperbolic.
Are we? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, dude.
Okay, cool. I think he's saying never be like he's saying like basically never just
what he's saying is never share with a girl details about your sexual history. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Basically because it's no point. Women, you know how many times women will use that against you?
It's never happened. It's never happened to me once.
I'm sorry, I'm having bad connection.
Yeah, you're kind of going in and out. I don't know. Do you maybe want to like fix your Wi-Fi or something? Or
let me walk out of the room and I'll come back in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, hey, Torsha's here. Torsha's my new BFF. Oh.
All right, is that better?
This is better.
I can hear you good now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sweet. So yeah. So the rule is okay. Let's assume for argument's sake, he's being very hyperbolic. Okay, I'll grant you that he probably is being hyperbolic. And what he actually means is don't share your sexual history with a girl. Never share your sexual history. That's like that. I'm not saying that you should share your sexual history. I don't think there's like a big advantage to doing that. I'm just saying that this idea that you can't is dumb because you can, and there's not going to be any consequences to sharing your sexual history with a girl. I've done it with pretty much every girl I've ever been with. I've never once had any negative consequences to doing that. I'm not saying you have to or it's going to benefit you, but there's a big difference between something not benefiting you and something hurting you. Like if there's a big difference between me saying, hey, Glenn, I think going to the gym is not really going to benefit you that much, to me saying, Glenn, never go to the gym. Like those two are completely different statements. So like, yeah, I'm arguing against the negative. I'm not arguing for the positive.
Yeah, and I think what he's trying to say is like, look, explaining your sexual past really doesn't benefit your current relationship. So why add problems to your current relationship while bringing up your sexual past?
What kind of problems is it going to add? I've never had it add any problems. I've always told the girls, like if a girl asks me, what's your sexual history? I tell them. Like, I don't think it hurts you in any way. And there's some credence to it because it encourages transparency. And generally speaking, transparency is a good thing. So if you're in a relationship, you probably want to have transparency with your partner. And I've never once been shy about about sharing my sexual past, and it's never once come back to hurt me. So
I think on paper what you're trying to say sounds good, but what I was getting as like, there's guys, and you're saying it from a personal standpoint. You're saying I never experienced this, so this must
me
never
and any of my clients. I mean, we can only speak from personal experience. He's also going from his personal experience. I would argue that my personal experience is much more important because I fucked hundreds of girls. He's only fucked 40, so I would argue that my personal experience is a lot more credence than his. But either way, we're both going off personal experience.
Well, what he's trying to say is like, look, never. It's not saying never, but it's like it doesn't benefit a guy.
But he is saying never. But I see. Like now, I feel like you're trying to like.
You're quoting him verbatim. He's saying never do this
under penalty of death. Okay, let's take that out because he's being hyperbolic. Never.
Yeah, never explain. Never, tell your partner about your sexual past because it doesn't benefit your current relationship. That's really what.
But it doesn't hurt you. But if it doesn't hurt you, then why say never? That's the thing. Like if he had said sharing your past sexual history won't benefit you in any way, I wouldn't take issue with that because he's saying there's no benefit to it. There might be a small benefit, but it's not significant. I agree with that. I don't think it's gonna like make a big difference and help you in some significant way. I agree with that, but it's also not gonna hurt you. That's what I'm taking issue with, is that him saying that this will actually hurt you, and I'm saying that is incorrect.
Well, I'm saying women will use that as in arguments later down the road, and
that's never happened to me or any of my clients, though.
But that's your small, like your sphere of people. You can't speak for everybody. He's just saying, like, look, but I can, on a general standpoint.
That's true. I cannot speak for everyone, but I can speak for a decent percentage of guys.
It's a general rule. Like, look, don't get in details about your sexual experience with your ex to your current girl, because now your current girl's gonna be like, oh, was she a better lover than me? Oh, well, you're gonna just go fuck Tiffany again, aren't you?
Okay.
It's just like there's no point in about
let me give you a better analogy. Let me give you a better analogy, Glenn. Okay, let's take something acupuncture, kind of controversial in medicine, right? Some people believe in it, some people don't. So if someone says, if a doctor was saying in a book, like some doctor was like, acupuncture doesn't really offer any scientifically proven substantial benefits. Okay, that's fine. However, if a doctor had said, never ever go to acupuncture, that's something completely different. Glenn, are you there?
Okay.
Do you see the difference there between a doctor saying, oh, acupuncture does not offer any big benefits, so maybe don't bother with it? That's fine. Okay. or saying never ever go to acupuncture under the penalty of death. That's something completely different, because now he's making it seem like doing acupuncture can be very hurtful to your outcome. And that's something completely different than saying it doesn't help you, so maybe there's no point in doing it. That's fine. That's completely different than never ever do it.
Okay,
And that's my issue. My issue is with the strong negative. I'm not making the argument that that revealing your body count is like this technique that's going to help you. I think there might be some credence to it, but I don't think it's going to be substantial. But what I'm taking the issue with the saying that never ever do it. That's what I find problematic, because it doesn't really hurt you. At least not from anything.
Would you say if something doesn't benefit you, then why would you bring it up? If it's not going to benefit your relationship? Because I don't think there's a guy on this planet that's saying, yeah, when I told my girl that I fucked 75 million women, it's made her want me more. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I'm not saying it's going to significant. The only way it could help you is with if in a relationship with transparency, but that's a small thing. Because there's a lot of things that we do that don't benefit us simply because we don't hurt us. Like, you ever like sit around with your friends and drink beer and bullshit for like an hour? You just waste time playing video games and bullshitting. It doesn't help your life in any way, but it doesn't hurt you, so you do it. Right? Because maybe you're curious, maybe you're bored, whatever. Like, you just do like whatever. I mean, you like to vape, right? Clearly. So like, like there's no real benefit to you vaping, but you just do it because whatever. It's like, it's fun to have some smoke in your mouth. I like to smoke hookah. Same thing. So, but if I had said, Glenn, never ever under the penalty of death vape, that's completely different than me saying, hey, Glenn, do you know that vaping doesn't actually benefit you in any way?
Well, yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, guys, going back to what Rich Cooper was saying, guys like to add problems to their life, complicate their lives. And that's just a complicating thing. You could complicate your life by saying, oh, disclosing all this information.
Yeah, but by that logic, you can simplify your life even more by like jerking off all day and not meeting women. Adding women to your life complicates it in of itself.
No. My hand and a woman's vagina is completely different.
I agree with you, but so if you're gonna add women to your life, you're already complicating significantly. Complication is the price you pay.
That's just like the thing is, why complicate it more?
But by that logic, why not just pretend like you're deaf mute and like pretend like you can't talk, because that will make things even easier. Like, by that logic, that's just kind of like odd, an odd notion.
You already agreed that like it doesn't benefit you, and I'm just saying like
I'm saying it doesn't benefit you significantly. Yes.
Yeah. So if it doesn't benefit you significantly, why bring something into a relationship? And this is just a relationship, because you can't use me vaping and a relationship different, because a relationship is something two people are trying to develop and grow on. It's just saying like, it's like saying like, why bring all your problems from your past into our new relationship?
Because after you fuck a girl, you're laying in bed, you're just shooting the shit, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with talking about your sexual history as part of shooting the shit. Like, I do that all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't hurt you in any way. There's no strong benefit when I'm laying in bed with a girl and just fucking around. It doesn't benefit me to talk about it, but it doesn't hurt me either. So I do it because it's fun. Like, it's fun to talk about like crazy past set stories, and then you hear the girl stories. It's just fun. It doesn't benefit you. You're right, but it doesn't hurt you.
Like, I don't ever want to hear a woman's story about her sexual past. Like, to me, it's irrelevant. Like,
okay, I mean, you're not different. I enjoy what's it called? I enjoy hearing those stories, but you're not different in that sense. Okay, that's fine. But there's a big difference again between saying never do something and saying it doesn't benefit you. Like, those two are not the same things. And if Rollo had said, what's it called? Like, hey, telling a girl about your lay count doesn't benefit you, there would be no issue. I would not take issue with that. But that's not what he said. Like, again, like, we can't like completely change what he said.
No. Okay, I agree. I agree with you on that. I mean, I agree with your assessment of it. I still think that it doesn't benefit you, so there's no point in bringing it up to a person that you're trying to have a relationship with. I think it's irrelevant. But I mean, if it works for you, that's fine. I think what he's basically trying to say, generalizing it, is just like, it doesn't benefit you. Don't bring something that doesn't benefit your relationship into your relationship. And that's all I'm trying to say that he's trying to
But the problem, my issue with that, and then we can move on to the next point. My issue is that I feel like the way he says it, it makes people paranoid. So a guy might be laying in bed with a girl and he like wants to like talk about his sexual past or her sexual past, and he feels like he can't do it because he thinks it's gonna hurt him. And that's what I don't like. This
Okay.
paranoia where a guy wants to do, like, look, if a guy doesn't want to do it, I'm not saying he has to, but that's what I took issue with. But it sounds like we're kind of agreeing anyway, so we can move on.
Yeah, no. From that,
Okay.
like, I think the wording is wrong.
Rule number
Go
1,
on.
frame is everything. So basically he's saying that you should always control the frame without making it seem like you're controlling the frame. This woman should always be in your frame. So this one, I would say I'm 50-50 on. So I do think that frame is important, and it is better if the girl is in your frame more than you're in her frame. However, that being said, like, you don't want the whole relationship to be just one giant frame battle. That sounds like a fucking nightmare. Like, first of all, it's not going to be successful because there's going to be constant friction because you're constantly, playing these frame control wars, and that's just going to throw off the vibe of your hangout sessions. Second of all, it's just not something that I really would ever want to be in myself. Like, you want to be with a chick like long term who can relax with, you can just be at ease, you can be yourself, you don't have to worry about little shit, you're not constantly trying to game her. You shouldn't also be trying like constantly control the frame. Like, again, that just sounds like being in a dynamic that I don't want to be with. Like, imagine your best friend who is someone you take road trips with and you hang out with, it's someone who you feel like you always have to control the frame, otherwise that friendship is going to end. That sounds like a fucking nightmare, and you wouldn't want to be in that friendship. It's the same thing with relationships. So this one, I would say, is very largely bullshit. All right.
Okay. I would actually rephrase what I said. I'm like 50-50 on that one. But okay, so what do you have a disagreement with that one?
Yeah. I definitely think that do you know what mental point of origin means?
I've heard that term before, but can you explain it to me?
So a mental point of origin is basically saying like how you filter your decisions, right? I'm my mental point of origin. So when I make a decision, like, okay, like I disclosed to you, I'm in the film industry. So I do a lot of work and I'm growing out the beard and stuff, getting ready for a Western film. When I'm getting ready for a role, my girlfriend, whether or not she likes the film or not, doesn't come across my mind as in the determining factor of what I'm going to do if I'm going to take that film. Let's say there's an actress that she doesn't like on this project. That's not going to stop me from working on this film. I am my own mental point of origin. I process what decisions I make, what's best for me. And that is frame. Like, so when you control the frame, you're saying, I'm going to make decisions on what's best for me all the time. And if whatever my plan is, what I'm going to be doing in life is going to be best on what I have planned. Somebody else is not going to dictate or determine what my plan is. I am going to be true to my plan. I'm my mental point of origin. So it's like I think about what I want first and when the outcome that I want. And that's the frame that I live in. And I control that frame. Basically, it's also like having boundaries in a relationship and standards. Would you not agree that you have certain standards for the women that you get with, right?
Of course.
Would you also say that you have certain behaviors that you will not tolerate from women?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. Hello? Are you there, man? Glenn? Hello? Damn, we keep losing again. Yo, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. Yep.
I'm here. I'm good.
Yep.
Would you say that you have like the certain behaviors that you would not tolerate from women?
Yeah, of course.
So you have boundaries, right? You have boundaries and you have standards.
Yeah.
That's part of your frame. That's literally what he's saying. He's always being in control of the frame, being in control of your standards, being in control of what you determine is acceptable and have boundaries. That's the frame that you live in. Okay. Like, I'll use an example. A girl that I'm with, I don't want her dressing like a slut, right? I don't want her going out there in very revealing clothing. To me, that's advertising to the world what you have, which if you're with me should be mine. So you shouldn't be showcasing that. That to me is like me walking around, with my dick out or something and trying to sling dick to women. Like, it's just not.
I mean, yeah, it's not exactly the same, but I see your point. Yeah.
Okay. So if my girl decides to dress that way, and I already told her, I
Glenn, I
won't
understand
leave
what
with
you're getting
something.
at. You're talking about standards and boundaries, which totally makes sense to me. Can you read the rule verbatim, please?
Yeah. It says, frame is everything. Always be aware of the subconscious balance of whose frame you're operating.
Okay.
Always control the frame, but resist giving the impression that you are.
Okay. All right. There we go. That's the rule. Now let's do. I'm going to share my screen and let's look up the definition of frame, because I think you're defining it completely differently than the way.
Well, I'm using an example to define frame.
Right, but let's take a look at the actual definition. That's the way people are going to interpret it. Wait, hang on.
Hello, friend.
I don't know why I clicked on that. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look at Girls Chase is pretty good website. I asked an article, one feature I would like to see more. It's the painting the picture in a way that only speaks to you, but everyone who's looking. Okay, frame control really is painting the picture in a way that not only speaks to you, but the way everyone is looking at it. That's kind of like a weird definition. So let me find another one. I see what they're trying to say. Okay, let's go to psychology. Simply put, a frame is your interpretation of reality. Okay, that's also kind of a odd definition. I want to find like establish meaning. Okay, this is a pretty good one. What is frame control? Frame control is the process by which you establish the meaning of a communication or interaction. So, for example, we're having this debate, and I can, like, for example, try to set the like, Glenn, are you there? We keep losing Glenn.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Are you? I can't see you at all anymore.
I just got my phone. I got my phone glitched real quick. Hold on.
Okay, well, yeah, just take your time, dude.
Hold on, wrong button. Here we go. There. Hold on. Where are you? There you are. Okay, I'm here. Sorry.
You're there. Okay, cool. All right, let's go on. Okay, let's pull up like LinkedIn, a guide to practicing frame control. It's interesting that they have this article. What is frame? Frame is the context in which you perceive your world. It is boundaries around the experience of meaning you place in a frame as a mental structure. Okay, let's get to frame control. Frame control is your ability to strengthen or sustain your frame. Frame control is often your most important aspect of navigating relationships. Is vital from I mean, they define it kind of complex, but basically, frame control is your version of reality. That's the simplest way to explain it. Your version of reality. So, for example, we're having a debate, and God damn it, we keep losing Glenn. Glenn, are you there?
I'm still here. I'm here.
Okay, we keep losing you, but okay. So there could be like when you go on a date, for example, you might get into like a constant like frame battle, right? The girl's like, her frame might be, I don't want to go home with you tonight because it's our first date, and your frame might be, it's totally cool for a girl to have sex with a guy on the first date, right? Like. Yeah, like Torsha said, frame is your reality. Yeah, exactly, right? However, right, if you're constantly getting in frame control battles with your partner, that can get kind of like taxing, emotionally taxing. You don't want to have your relationship be a constant frame control battle because that's just emotionally turmoil, right? Like at some point, the frame control behaviors have to end, and you just have to be able to relax and like trust the person that you don't have to constantly frame control them.
No, it's not like, look, it's not. I'm always okay. So it's like, I'm always in control of my frame. The people that I want in my life will be in my life, and the people I don't want in my life won't be in my life, right? So if my girl behaves a certain way that's against my frame, she doesn't have to be in my life. I will remove her from my life. It's just like if a girl cheats on you, you're not going to take her back. That's a hard no. That's being in control of your frame. It's also this. Let's say, Alex, you got a job in let's say you got a job in Germany, right? You got to be there for 2 years, and you're going to make $3 million in that 2 years. And let's say that's a good business for you. That's a good promotion for you. And let's say you're married, and your wife goes to you, well, I don't want to live in Germany for 2 years. You're gonna be like, well, it's just not gonna go now because she doesn't want to go? No, that's controlling the frame. Would be like, you know what? Hey, guess what? I got this promotion. We're moving to Germany for 2 years. Well, I'm moving to Germany for 2 years. I don't know where you're going. You can come with me if you want to go. But if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. But I don't know where we're going to be at. Do you just see what I'm saying? Like, controlling the frame is, you can only control your frame. You can't control their frame. But
Well, the whole point of frame control is to put the girl in your frame.
No, I don't. You don't control her. I don't put my girl in my frame. A girl wants to be in my frame. That's the difference. You have to have your frame has to be so tight that she rather sacrifice her frame to live in your frame. And it's not controlling the frame. You're just controlling your frame. You can't control someone else's frame. You can't control someone else's actions. You can only control what you want in your life and what you allow in your life and what you won't allow in your life. And that's really what he's saying. It's like always being controlled. Make sure that the things that are going on in your life are the things that you want and you allow. And it's not necessarily what somebody else dictates for you. Don't let someone else be like, oh, when you're thinking about things, is so-and-so going to like it if I do this? If this benefits you, then you do it. Don't worry about whether or not someone else is going to be mad at you.
But there has to be some, in a relationship, there has to be some reasonable amount of compromise. Would you not agree?
I think there is to a degree, but there's not when it comes to your frame. I think we could compromise the color of the house. We could compromise on the color of the furniture, but we're not going to compromise on where we live, because if I work in this area, this is where I'm going to live. Does that make sense?
Well, you can also somewhat find a reasonable compromise in where your home is. Like if your home is like let's say you guys your guys' jobs are like 2 hours apart. Like you could live 5 minutes away from your job and 2 hours away from her job. That might be too far from you. So maybe a more reasonable compromise is living like halfway or something like that. So there does need to be some reasonable level of compromise. I'm not saying that you're compromise all your values, but there needs to be some level of compromise. Otherwise, you're just gonna be butting heads the whole time. And if you force the girl to constantly, like it's either your way or the highway, that's what I find problematic.
Okay, like I did this post about this stream about men in control versus controlling men. Women find men in control sexy and find controlling men disgusting. A man in control is only in control of himself. A controlling man is trying to dictate his will onto someone else. So I'm not controlling at all. Look, if I live here and I work here, okay, and I don't want to live over there because my work is here, it's not a control. I'm giving you the option. You can live over there, but I'm living over here because this is where I work. This is where I want to live. Okay, it's not.
But again, that's sort of like your way or the highway.
It's not controlling though.
I'm not saying it's controlling. I'm not saying that's controlling. I'm not even necessarily saying that you're incorrect for wanting that. I'm pretty selfish too. I would want that too. But I'm saying that like this constant like your way or the highway is not the best mindset to have for a relationship. Like there should be some reasonable amount of compromise.
What I'm saying is it's not that compromise is not accepted. It's that like over the frame of everything, the whole frame of your life, the things that you want to do in your life, you have to be the mental point of origin. Okay, because a lot of guys fall into this happy wife, happy life mentality.
Yeah, I agree. That's fucked up.
Right? And that's right there is their wife is controlling their frame. Their wife is their mental point of origin. And what he's saying is, no, guys, you need to be the mental point of origin of your own life. And you need to control your own frame. And whether or not your woman wants to be in your frame or not, that's her choice. But don't sacrifice your frame to please her, because in the long run, it's not going to suit her. And she's going to despise you for sacrificing your frame. And think about this. If you sacrifice your frame for a woman's going to look at that and be like, you know what? He really wasn't secure with himself. He really wasn't secure with his own frame that he was so quick to sacrifice his frame for mine. And that women, if women like security, they're not going to see very much security in a man that sacrifices his frame like that. Does that make sense?
No, dude, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I live my life exactly that way too. Like, if you look at my relationship, I'm certainly not like some like pushover or happy wife, happy life type of nonsense. Like, not even close to that. I'm just the point. The way it seems like you and I interpret this rule completely differently, or maybe not completely, but largely differently. And I interpreted in a different way than you. I agree. As a man, you should have strong boundaries and strong standards, and not like just put up with like this or that. But I think like this, black and white, my way or the highway mentality is not constructive to a successful relationship. And that's kind of how I interpreted the rule, is that like you always have to, like the girl always has to be in your frame. And what I was saying, it doesn't have to, she doesn't always have to be in your frame. Like sometimes you can just like let go and not give a shit whose frame you're in. You can just relax around your girlfriend. Like you don't have to worry about her being in your frame. That's kind of how I interpreted it. It sounds like you interpreted differently.
I think you're misunderstanding it. Like for me, like I'm relaxed with my frame. I already know what I'm willing to accept and what I won't accept. I'm cool with my frame.
I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying you interpret it differently than me.
I'm relaxed around my girl with my frame. My girl accepts my frame. My girl loves my frame. She agrees with my frame. So I'm relaxed. There's no frame clashing. She already knows the standard of what I'm going to be with and who I'm going to be with and what they have to maintain. Right.
But when you're out with your girlfriend, are you constantly thinking like, oh shit, is she my frame or am I in her frame right now?
No, I don't think that at all.
Exactly. Right. That's the point I'm making. You can relax around your girl.
But you know why? Is because I established the boundaries. I established the standards and I made that groundwork and said,
yes, boundaries and standards are great. They're very important. I agree with you.
And she knows I'm my mental point of origin. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do what's best for us and what we're going to do, and what's with the goal that I'm shooting us to go for. If I'm the captain of the ship and I'm sailing this ship, the first mate has to trust the captain and knowing what the captain's doing. Okay, so if I'm saying, hey, we're going to take this route, or this is the plan that we're going to do, we're going to execute this plan. I'm not going to have a mutiny on my hand with somebody that's does it and to see the full picture. Okay, so me and my girl go out all the time, and it's fine. I don't worry about whose frame I'm in or because it's not a constant battle.
Right.
You know, it's set up boundaries. It's set up saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. It works for me. And if you decide to step out of that, that's fine. That's your choice. But you have to understand what you're risking when you do that. What you're risking is I'm not going to be here with that behavior or that type of action. That's something like, it's almost like a Christian getting with the Satanist, and the Satanist said, you got to become a Satanist. And the Christian's like, wait a minute. No, I'm not going to do that. You know?
Yeah, bro, I get everything you're saying. Like if the rule was have strong boundaries and standards and lead in a relationship, I'll be like, oh, this is great. Right. That's what you're saying.
That's very much part of frame.
I mean, yeah, I interpreted it fairly differently. Like I interpret it as like you're constantly playing this game of frame control and she has to be in your frame, which again, I think is good. Like if I'm trying to bang a girl, I am very conscious of like, okay, like, I mean, at this point, not so much, but like when I was learning again, like, okay, like the girl is in my frame. That's a good thing. That means I can get what I want. But when I get into a relationship with a girl, like that stuff, like just leaves my brain. I just start relaxing. I'm not thinking about whose frame we're in. Sounds like you're the same exact way. You and I are exactly the same way. We're talking about the same thing. We both have strong boundaries, strong standards, and we both lead in our respective relationships, right? That's all good. Like we're not disagreeing on how we lead, like how we are in our relationships. What we are disagreeing on is how we interpreted that rule. You interpreted it in a much more healthy, holistic way, which is like, yeah, just, have strong whatever boundaries, be a leader, have strong standards. I interpret it in a more toxic way, like always make sure that the girl is falling into your frame, that you're not accidentally falling into her frame. So we just interpreted the rule differently.
Okay, I can see that, but I think the way, would you agree that the way that I just interpreted that rule, that you would agree with that definition of frame?
Say that again. Sorry.
You just said we interpreted differently, but you said you agree with everything that I said.
Yeah, I definitely do. Of course.
So then you would say that the way that I interpreted, you would agree with that rule then?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I just didn't interpret it in that way. I interpreted it in a more toxic way. But I mean, I'm not even necessarily saying I'm right. I'm just, I mean, maybe he meant it exactly the way you just described it. That's not how I read it, though.
Well, I mean, okay. That's interpretation, and then that's also with me doing the research and doing the reading and studying his work. That's exactly how I would lay it out. If I was going to do a breakdown video of the 9 iron rules, that's how I would read it out. And you would say, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah, totally.
So again, I think it's just misinterpretation and maybe not necessarily, as you said, you read some of his work, but you haven't really indulged in it.
Well, I think the way he wrote that is very open to interpretation. I don't think my interpretation is like super crazy. Like I just interpret it pretty literally, and you interpret it in a more healthy, holistic way. I don't think my interpretation is like super crazy. I think there's other people who interpret it similar to me. I just think you like interpret it in like, again, in a more healthy, holistic way. That's all.
And would you say that, like, maybe hypothetically speaking, maybe applying that interpretation the way I did was probably more healthier, beneficial to guys rather than the way that you interpret it?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's cool.
But this goes back to the whole issue that I actually don't think Rollo is like I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. I guess the easiest way to put this, I don't really trust Rollo. Like I think he has a weird agenda. I think he doesn't really care that much about helping guys, and it's largely ego for him. So that's why I'm more likely to interpret it in a negative way versus I think if I thought Rollo was a really good guy, I would be more likely to interpret it in the way you did. And I think you probably respect Rollo a lot more than I do, which is why you interpret it in a more healthy way and I interpret it in a more negative way. That's all. I think that's the reason for the interpretations.
When I first fell on Rollo's work, I was very confused by it and was like very hesitant. I had to really understand.
Like someone said this. I hear tons of Rollo fanboys interpret the way Alex said. So yeah, so like I'm not the only one that's interpreted that way. Like my interpretation, I don't think is crazy.
Well, I believe I think Sabo's backstage.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I wish he told me that he was gonna log on. I would have like I don't know, like I would have dedicated some time to having him on. Yes, Sabo, like hang on a second because I don't want to cut our chat short with Glenn. Yeah.
No, I think we really went through it all, and I think I'm not into like ganging it up on you at all.
No, I didn't take it that way. I mean, I think you are literally the best. You made the best, I guess, critiques in favor of Rollo that I've ever heard. I just think that you have a more optimistic, healthy, holistic interpretation of his work, and I have a more literal, pessimistic interpretation. But then again, that largely falls into like how we perceive him. And I think you probably respect Rollo a lot, and I have close to no respect for him.
But then again, what our worldview and how we view people does paint our perception.
But I want to be clear. I'm not like a negative Nancy. I like and respect a whole lot of people. It's not Rollo is just not one of them.
I'm just saying the way that we view certain people also determines how we will view their work. So if you have a negative view of him in general, you're probably going to have a slated, negative, tainted view of what he's trying to say. And as I think in the video, you were struggling at times to even say that you agreed with him.
No, I mean, like, no, I don't think I'm like ideologically stuck. Like I've said several times throughout this podcast that I agree with you. I have no problems agreeing with someone. Well, like obviously it doesn't help the fact that he literally accused me of killing people. Like stuff like that probably rubs me the wrong way. So like there's a reason why I don't like the guy.
I don't know the personal beef. Like, I mean, I've never heard that personally. And I probably didn't catch that stream or that bit or whatever he said it. If he did, I think that's, I don't know the context of what he said it in. I don't think you're going around killing people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I certainly like to think that I don't kill people either. I mean, there's a whole bunch of like ethically questionable things that Rollo does. And some things that are just dead wrong. But yeah, I just think this comes down to like we interpreted his rules a bit differently. But not all of them. Some of them we can interpreted the same way. So
I think it was a healthy debate. I think I would like to think that the different perspective that I have that you have, and as you said that they were more healthy and holistic and positive, I think you would say that you would want to apply, and I can't speak for you, but I would like to think that you would want to apply those perspectives and share those with other men in your audience. Would you disagree with that?
Wait, say that again.
The comments that you said that you have, that you agree, they're a little more healthier and holistic and positive. I think that you would want to share that with your audience in that context. Like, this is a good, hey, I may have read it this way, but you know what? Glenn Lawrence told me this way. And I think that if you apply it this way, this will be beneficial to you guys.
Yeah, I would admit that, but I wouldn't probably like I mean, would I? Yeah, I would agree with the fact that if you apply it in a healthy way, that's a good thing. I don't think he's saying anything revolutionary or anything that I haven't said like a million times in all my podcasts. Would I acknowledge it? Yeah, sure, but would I like really stress that? Probably not, because again, there's nothing like revolutionary or something I haven't already said multiple times in like various podcasts. So yeah, I mean, again, like there's yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's basically it. I mean, like the things like that I find the most problematic about Rollo, I'll just quickly list them off because I think there's too many to go through. But I would say one, the fact that he's completely unwilling to debate anyone who's not completely blue pilled. Two, the fact that he can be very disgenuine by saying things like Alex kills people. Three, the fact that I think that he's just been out of the game for so long and he's no longer credible authority on the topic because he's been married for 20 years. For the fact that I feel like he's a hypocrite in some ways, in a lot of ways, actually. So, yeah, like he just launched a fucking NFT. That's problematic in of itself. So there's a lot of issues I have with Rollo, but not everything. I do think he does some good for the community.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if you'll be opposed to this, but I think, Sabo's in there. I think we should, hop on and just, have a decent conversation with the three of us and just see if maybe we could find some common ground on a little bit more.
we can have Sabo on. I didn't even know he was going to be coming on, but yeah, let's bring him on. What's up, Sabo?
It's pronounced Sabo, like Sabo. How you doing?
Okay. How did you even pop on? Did Glenn send you the link, or how are you here?
No,
Yep.
I infiltrated the stream.
Oh, Glenn, I mean, it would have been nice if you gave me a heads up before you send a private link.
I apologize.
I mean, yeah, that's like
this is a Rollo fan club takeover. We're taking over.
That's kind of like common decency. And Sabo, I wish you kind of gave me a heads up you were going to pop on because I would have dedicated more time. We could have had like a conversation.
No, it's okay. I don't plan on staying long, anyways.
Okay. All right. So, what would you like to say? I'm assuming you weren't happy with my critique of you, but you didn't come to the party, Sabo. Like I invited you. I tried to get you on.
Well, it's a party now.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So what did you not like about my critique?
Glenn, you did a fantastic job, by the way. I'm not going to say anything about your critique of me. I'm going to say something about, I think I heard a little bit older. Christ, you guys just go on and go on and go on. I couldn't latch on to the one point that you made. You said something to the effect of, you don't believe that Rollo really helps men. That's from the point of view of someone who's only ever seen him on a computer or read his books. So the most beneficial thing I could do is...
Did I really say that, though? When did I say that?
A little earlier in the stream, something to the effect of you think he's disingenuous in his concern or care about men.
Glenn, did you recall me saying I did say he's disingenuous, but I never said I don't think he legitimately helps men. I think he has helped men. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I wouldn't say he said those words verbatim. I think you alluded to that, like that, you have like a disdain for him. Like you said he's out of touch, that he doesn't really. So I mean, I think that would be alluding to that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he's helped men. Like I will definitely don't feel that way. He's definitely helped some men. Yeah.
So why spend so much time breaking down somebody that's helped men?
Because just because someone is right about some things doesn't mean they're not wrong about some things. We should reward good ideas and criticize bad ideas. Even if he's right about 90%, we should still criticize the 10% that is wrong.
Where do you think he's at? You think he's at 80?
It's really hard to put a number on that. Like, what exactly are the parameters we saying? So Torsha is kind of defending me here. Alex said he does some good for the community. So yeah, there we go.
Thanks, Tori.
So what exactly are the parameters we're setting? Like, how do we define good? Like, I think it's really hard to put a percentage on it. Like, that's
Alex, it's hard for you because you have a complete lack of ability to speak in general terms or have any nuance. You go right to the book definition of everything, and that's just not an ordinary way to communicate. Nuance is part of conversation. It's literally part of human conversation. And as much as we dislike it, it's part of the way females communicate. How does something feel versus how does something literally read? It's why we have so many issues getting points across to women, right? With men, there's not as much emotion involved in perceiving a concept. We want to perceive it logically. But I think you go a step above logic, which is to go to the book definition of everything and then to debate something based on a literal definition as it's read with complete lack of nuance. Like, I'm here because you challenged me to this stream by saying I was a girl. You called me a girl, I called you a bitch. So should we go to the book and say, well, technically a bitch is a female dog, whereas a girl is an adolescent female human? No, we know that bitch and girl is the same thing because we know that's slang and we understand that that's the nuance and the slang term in which humans communicate. We don't
Yeah,
always say
Sabo,
everything literally.
I get slang. First of all, I never called you a girl. Second of all, me and Glenn just had an hour and a half nuanced conversation. Like our whole convo was very nuanced. So I don't know how
He
you
was
can say.
nuanced. He was nuanced. You were by the book definition of everything.
Well, yeah, I like to understand what a word means. I mean, like you're saying it as if it's a bad thing. That I like to look up the definition for things.
No, it's not a bad thing, but it creates a lack of understanding because it's almost like if you can't take something at face value, word for word, as properly defined in the dictionary when there's nuance or slang that could surround that same meaning, then you fail to understand it. I don't hear a lot of you trying to understand somebody. I hear a lot of you sweeping past the nuance and trying to go to the book definition of what
I
it
just
is
literally
that's
spent
being
an hour
said.
and a half trying to understand Glenn, and I agreed with him on several points. So I'm really not sure like where this critique is coming from. I literally just spent an hour and a half like trying to understand what Glenn was saying and agreeing with some of the things, especially because
Yeah,
Glenn
you're
was
meeting
getting
him in the
into the
middle.
weeds and the
No, for
nuance.
sure. You're meeting him in the middle between nuance and book definition. I've heard a little bit of you meeting him in the middle, but I just don't see how you get the best outcome by trying to stick so close
Because
to
we have to
the
be able to use standard definitions. Like we can't just like interpret, we can't just define things the way we want to define them. Like I can't just be like, well, he wrote this, but the way I define that word, like we have to go by standard definitions, the way most people interpret it. I allow for the fact that people use hyperbole. Like I granted that point several times. I'm like, yeah, he's probably being hyperbolic. But when someone's not being sarcastic, not being hyperbolic, not being like whatever, like they're basically communicating, like I have to go by the definition that most people look at it. I can't just come up with the definition that I want it to have.
Well, I
no,
mean,
but that's not the all right, go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
wait, that was the premise of what I was saying. That I had an issue with what your review of the night, that you weren't being literal enough and actually reading them verbatim.
So it sounds like you two have completely opposite criticisms of me.
No, what I was saying is like what you were just explaining to him the definition and like reading things and understanding what the word means, and that's exactly what I was saying. Like when I was critiquing you on your 99 Rules review, how you weren't being literal and you weren't reading them verbatim and you weren't being accurate with what was said.
But
And you're just
do
saying to
you
him
see the irony in that, Glenn? Because you guys are both like assumingly like fans of Rollo, but you're Glenn, you're saying that I'm not being literal enough, and Savo is saying I'm being too literal, right? I'm not allowing for like enough. Like it's just the irony here is pretty funny.
No, it is. It's ironic because like I was just telling you,
because you guys are literally like
the same
opposite sides.
No, not necessarily. You
That's not how we
misinterpreted.
Okay. Well, I mean, like you're saying that Sava, you're saying that I'm being too literal, and Glenn, you're saying I'm not being literal enough, right? Like, am I misreading something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the humor in this. And
I know that's what I'm trying to point out. So yeah, that's the ironic part. So I mean, like your critiques are like the exact pretty much opposite, at least the way I interpreted. But I think that damn, we lost Glenn again. But I would give more credence to Glenn's critique. Not that like I have some kind of like personal affiliation for Glenn. I don't know him at all. Here he is. Let's add him back in. There, Glenn.
I'm back.
What's going on with your internet, bro? Yeah, I have more. I would give more credence to your critique, Glenn, because I do think that if I had to criticize myself, I would say that maybe I'm too loosey-goosey on paraphrasing people, not the opposite way. I definitely wouldn't say that I'm too strict in how I define people. Like that's definitely like I allow for a lot of nuance and for a lot of hyperbole and humor and all that shit. Not the other way around. So
yeah, but look at the way you always have to go over the direct by the book definition of how something reads versus the way it's likely to be interpreted.
But I am like, okay, like I'm not just like if someone using slang or hyperbole, I'm not actually pulling up the literal definition there. I allow for all that. I'm going off like when actually someone's not being hyperbolic, someone's not using slang, like when someone's making a point, I go by the standard definition that everyone else uses. I don't go with the definition that suits my purposes.
Yeah, but also the way Glenn kept saying, who does it like when you're talking about this I might kill myself if I have to go over this body count thing again, but just for the sake of giving you an example, the body count thing, the way we keep saying, there brings no value, no productive conversation in going over the literal interpretation of that versus the little bit of the nuanced interpretation of that. It just really doesn't matter either way. It's the most senseless thing in the world. The whole thing, do you tell a girl your body count? Do you not? If you do, how is it going to harm you? But you're still sticking to the way it read in the book, that by no means should you ever tell a woman your body count.
Sabo, words have meanings. Like when enough words are said, they have a meaning. There's a big difference between saying a body count. Like this is not a mute point. There's a big difference between saying telling a girl your body count doesn't benefit you and never ever tell a girl your body count. Like that's not the same thing.
But I know, but since there's really no harm either way, it's just advice that you could adhere to or not. It's not like we're speaking on something that's really going to be a great benefit to anybody. So that's why I perceive it as you doing it just for the sake of having a conversation and a debate between the literal terms in which it was written in the book and in the way you know it's meant to be perceived. Also in the way you know he meant it to mean. Don't try to impress a girl by saying something goofy. Don't try
Sabo,
to lead with that.
I did not know that's what he tried to mean. That's literally not how I read it. And I like going back to the example I gave earlier with the acupuncture. If a doctor was saying never ever do acupuncture, I would find that problematic. That's different than saying acupuncture might not help you. Those two are different things. That's problematic for a doctor to be saying never ever do acupuncture, never ever take supplements. That's different than saying supplements might not necessarily help you.
Right, I understand it, but this is why I said I'm not a big fan of the content. I like what you do in actually giving men game, but when it comes to dissecting Rollo, it's all these examples of how tit is really different from tat, just like bitch is really different from female, even though sometimes when we say bitch, we know we mean female. And you're going to spend an hour on that. And at the same time, you're going to put down a man that's helped so many people, including me personally. And then you're going to sit here and say that I don't really think he's genuine in his pursuits.
I don't. Am I not entitled to my opinion?
Right. And the last time you came across a group of hardworking young men that nobody would get behind, and simply for the benefit of the fact that you saw them struggling to make something of themselves and you thought they had potential, you invested in them and got no benefit out of it other than to see other men succeed. The last time you did them was when?
No benefit? Dude, he's made millions of dollars in selling his books. Do you think he's just doing this for free?
No, I'm talking about what he did personally for me. Not to even mention the shit that he's done for men around the world.
Bro,
and the last time you did the same thing is when? How would you know that? Because you're just going off of what you see on the internet and making these bizarre claims.
It's not a bizarre claim. Which claim is bizarre? The fact that he's making millions of dollars off his books? Which claim is bizarre? That's not a bizarre claim. I don't know your guys' personal history. How would I know that? Am I going to interview every single person that has ever had contact with Rollo before?
You might by the end of this YouTube run, yeah. You're doing pretty goddamn well.
I don't understand why you're so like triggered by the idea of me criticizing Rollo. Like, why is it so bad to criticize people who are wrong? You criticize.
No, it isn't. No, it doesn't necessarily.
You're entitled to criticize me.
What's that?
I have no problem. Like, I'm not above criticism. Neither is Rollo. No one is above criticism.
No, but this behavior is very obsessive on the part of you and Kevin Ray Wilder.
Obsessive, dude.
It's very obsessive behavior.
Rollo content is less than like 0.1% of my total content. It's such a small part of my overall
and I saw that, and I corrected myself when I messaged you on Instagram, and I told you that for the better lack of my research, Kevin Ray Wilder is the one that spends more time on Rollo.
But you corrected yourself privately, not publicly. Like, the whole world doesn't know that you changed your mind until now.
I don't think the whole world even knows about these conversations, but for the world that is watching, yes, I'll correct myself that Kevin Ray Wilder is the one that I was alluding to a little bit more than Alex. But I can still come across plenty of streams where the same subjects are being discussed and pertaining to Rollo.
What percentage of my content do you think involves Rollo? Like, just put a number on it.
Enough for it to be notable. It doesn't have to be boiled down to a percentage between the community posts. The fact that you guys definitely stay on.
Like, in terms of my videos, it's probably less than 1%.
Right, I understand, but you still spend enough time on it, as well as spending enough time debating and arguing every single person that ever detests you online. If you guys go and look, I'm just gonna say this, and you can say that this isn't true either. But if you guys go and look at any disagreement with Alex that exists on the internet in the comment section, he or Kevin Ray Wilder has taken the time to respond, because these guys are hooked on literal debate.
Dude, like that's like what I've been doing on my channel.
That's completely obsessive.
How is that obsessive? Do you know how like debate is a sport? Like that's what I've been doing on my channel for the last 4 months. If you go back 6 months, you won't see any debates on my channel. But yeah, in the last 4 or 5 months, I've been doing a lot of debates. I think it's good content. I think one, there's pretty much no one in the manosphere who's doing it. Two, I think there's a lack of healthy discourse. And three, I think it's entertaining. Like my audience seems to like it. Like what's so bad about me debating people? Like I try to keep it healthy.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible, but bringing people on for the sake of stripping them of the nuance that was in their conversation and holding them down to literal.
Like how did I strip Glenn? Like I've literally been respectful to every guest I've ever had on.
Strip people of the literal interpretation of you strip people of the nuance of their conversation. You break them down to literal terms. You make it seem like their nuance of what they meant in their conversation, because human language has nuance. We're not all on the spectrum in which we cannot perceive anything that is not in a literal text the way you do. Everything has to be literally is as written, is as defined in the dictionary. And if there's any level of nuance, you say that that's being taken out of context or it's negating your points, but it's not. That's just the way humans communicate, not robots.
I mean, I think what you perceive as me stripping people of nuance is just me trying to hold people to common definitions. Like we have to agree on the definition before we can have a discussion. If you and I have different definitions for the same word, we're not going to be able to have a healthy debate because we're just in completely different spaces. So it's literally me just trying to hold people to the standard definition.
Yeah, but when you do it to such a severe, intensely literal context, it's like literally arguing on every one of these streams. Tit versus tat, bitch versus girl. I mean, you bring it down to specifics.
I really don't. I just if someone's definition is completely off, I just look it up on Google and go with like the first thing that's said.
How harmful do you think the 10 iron rules really are?
How harmful?
How harmful to men's perception of how they go about relationships after reading the 10
I don't think they're particularly harmful. I mean, like I said, I agree with like 6 or 7 of them.
Right, but case in point, they're not harmful, so you're not debating against anything out of any sense of. Certainly not out of any sense of morality or any duty.
No, I like fundamentally disagree with several of them. Like I disagree with that notion that you can never tell a girl your body count. I disagree with the notion. What was the other one I said? Oh, I disagree with the one that you can't live with a girl unless you plan on marrying her. I made the argument that should be the other way. So no, I fundamentally disagree with the principle of like 2 or 3 of them. But I agree with most of them. Yeah. But why is it so bad that like I criticize some of the things I disagree with?
It's not bad that you criticize. It's not bad that you disagree with them. But I think it's becoming increasingly a focal point of your content.
It is literally like I do debates is a big part of my content. Rollo is, I guess, part of the debates, but I can't help the fact like I didn't reach out to Glenn. He emailed me. I can't help the fact
I get that
people email me and say, hey, I want to debate Rollo. Like, what am I going to be like? Oh, no, man. Like, I've already talked about him more than 1% this month. Like, I'll have debates about the stuff that people want to debate. And for better or for worse, Rollo is a thought leader in the community that I'm involved in. So a lot of people are going to want to debate me on that.
Yeah, but you can't speak to human beings that have the capacity for nuanced slang and a way of explaining things, the way we interpret things, and be a robot that breaks them down to literal text of everything.
I've never, ever heard anyone give me the critique that I'm like a robot. Like, I think I allow for a lot of slang and nuance and all that stuff. I mean, can you give me one example where I didn't allow for like nuance and I took something someone said in slang or in jest and applied it literally? Like, can you give one example of that?
The example is the way you refer to text definitions. While you were on with Glenn, you were going and you were saying, let's Google, let's actually type in frame, let's look at the definition of the word frame, and then let's apply it to the nuance that I'm going to.
I mean, I did that for literally one of the things. I did that only once for frame because I felt that Glenn had a incorrect definition of frame. Yeah, like I felt that Glenn was defining frame the way he wants to define it, which suits his argument, but not in a way that
he was defining it the way Rollo defines it.
Okay, which is different than the way that pretty much anyone else defines it, according to.
All right, well, how harmful is it for a man to be in his frame in the first place that it's worth having this long discussion just for the sake, like I said in my video, for the sake of having a disagreement on context rather than actually sparing men of information that you may perceive to be harmful, because you know it's not harmful. You just know you can debate the context, and we could do a 3-hour show, and that's why I think you're a cornball.
So what was so bad about the debate me and Glenn had? Yeah, it got a little technical and nuanced, but we had a good discussion. A lot of people enjoyed it. It was healthy. Me and Glenn both like ended on good terms. Like I don't think negatively of Glenn, and I'm sure confident he doesn't think negatively of me. So like you seem to have like the issue with the general concept of having like nuanced, detailed discussions. Like, should we just like, oh, Rollo is like does some good for the community, so he's above criticism. We can't like talk about him in any detail. Like, why? Like, I don't understand this mindset.
No, it's not that you can't disagree with any of his ideas. Like
Then
I
what
said in
exactly
my
is the issue with what I'm doing? I'm just trying to. I literally pulled up the definition. Let me, Glenn. I'll bring you on, but like if your
Back to
camera
the
dies
definition.
again.
No.
back to being literal.
Yeah, but
Agreed.
I really, during my debate with Glenn, I pulled up a standard definition once. And again, that was during the time where I felt that Glenn was defining the word incorrectly. And I want to see how most people define it. Because if me and Glenn are having a debate about frame and Glenn is defining the word frame radically different than the way I define it, then we're not going to be able to have a good discussion. So first, we need to agree on the definition, and then we can have a discussion about frame. But we can't have a discussion or a healthy debate about frame if we define the word frame differently. So we have to first get to the definition.
Oh yeah, but hold on, Glenn. Before I lose my train of thought, because Alex makes me lose my train of thought. The frame, you
Sabo,
really
don't blame it on me, man. Like, I'm sorry you're having a hard time.
no. I understand. You cut me off, so I lose where I'm going. But you actually perceive frame so radically different than the way most of us perceived it when we read that book.
I perceive frame the way most people define, the way it was defined in dictionary. And you saw someone in the comment was literally saying
that's the point. That's the point that I'm making. You just said we got to go to the dictionary.
Yeah, we do. We have to be able to define things.
Well, my question
Yeah,
is,
or you could also, if you want to be so literal, more literal than for good sake of a conversation's point being, you could be literal enough to say, well, a frame could also be the frame around a picture on a wall, and that only.
Yeah, but like that's being disgenuine. I'm not being disgenuine. I'm just trying to establish what the standard definition is.
when we read the definition, and then when I explained it, you would agree that would be a good definition of frame. Would you not? Like when we went to the definition, and then you read it.
No, I agree, Glenn. I agree that your interpretation was a lot healthier and made a lot more sense. I didn't agree that what you said was the definition of frame. I just agreed that your interpretation of the rule was a lot healthier and made like logical sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the way you define certain things, but I did agree with your interpretation and like the way like you and I didn't during this whole debate I think maybe disagreed on one actual principle. We largely had different definitions of words, which is why it's important for us to agree on the standard definition first before we get into the actual debate. Because if we can't agree on the definition, we're not going to be able to have a debate. And that's actually very standard in debates. Like I don't know if you watch any debates, Sabo. It seems like you don't. But if you watch debates, you'll see that they establish a definition before they get into the actual discussion.
No, I've seen you. To be completely honest with you, the first thing that turned me off to you was your debate with Donovan.
I mean, that's funny because the vast majority of people say that was like one of my best debates. Like most people, even
even Donovan doesn't have anything bad to say about you. Donovan's very neutral and he's fair about the people that he works with, even the people that.
I mean, Donovan texted me afterwards saying, "Literally, dude, that was an amazing discussion. I can't wait to do it again." Then Myron called him and said, "You're not allowed to talk to Alex anymore." But Donovan himself said that he very much enjoyed that discussion and that it was one of the best discussions I've had.
Yeah. No, I just said that. I'm not speaking on behalf of Donovan. I'm saying what turned me off about it was I actually thought it was going to be a debate. I thought you guys were going to go head to head in a sense of really battling ideas. And I know you're going to argue that that's what you did. But I was on the treadmill at the gym trying to listen to this. I didn't even know I was going to have an ill opinion of you before I put it on. I thought it was going to be good. And then I was basically listening to you, once again, break down the nuance and slang and slight exaggeration in the presentation of a content creator's conversation points to literal sense of everything, to a literal interpretation textbook way of looking at everything. And it was just one by one. Okay, Donovan, you said this, but let's bring it down to the textbook definition of that. So wouldn't you say if we look at the textbook, it's not fair to say that? Okay, thank you, Donovan. So let's break down nuance some more and let's go after it again. It's not fun. It's like a robot.
Dude, that's your interpretation of that debate. Like pretty much no one else interpreted that way. Like most people thought it was a really good discussion. Yeah, I did hold them to certain standard definitions. And yeah, like, sorry, but I'm going to hold people to standard accepted definitions. Of course, I allow for nuance and hyperbole and for humor and for slang. I never hold people to that. Like, dude, if you said like, you're a fag, and I'm like, oh, faggot means a bunch of sticks. Like, yeah, that would be like really weird. I'm not doing that. I'm holding people to standard accepted definitions. And if people want to define words differently, then we have to first agree on the definition before we can get to the discussion. And I mean, Alex, I guess you thought it was too literal. I mean, sorry, I don't know.
Like, no, that's fine. It's not all right. Look, it's not like you got to apologize for it. But Alex, for the record,
Sabo, I'm sorry you did not enjoy your experience watching my Donovan debate.
And I wanted to. I really wanted to. I thought it was going to be cool.
I'm sorry you didn't get to enjoy the experience. You know,
I thought it was going to be cool. So it's like, all right, you are so. Listen, you are so good at what you do with game until you start building a brand for yourself by chipping away at the talking points of people that are more successful than you. When
Yeah.
you
So
just stick to what you do, it's good. I like you when I see you come up with 60 seconds of do this with a bitch and it'll work, because I look at it and I'm like, it's actually not bad. It's only when you have to demean somebody else's words to make yourself look like you're the better guy to go to, which is how you're building a brand. You're definitely saying you can't listen to Rollo, and by disproving Rollo, I'm obviously the guy that has the answers, so maybe I'm the guy you want to commission for a coaching call.
yeah. So
Whether
that
you
was a,
said it or not, that's how a brand gets built, when you chip away
Yeah,
somebody
so
else's
that
talking
see,
points.
like I took issue with that because that's a very disgenuine argument, because that's not at all close to the truth. First of all, if anything, doing these type of shit, when I call out Rollo and chip away at him, that only hurts me, because like the diehard Rollo fans, they stop subscribing. Like when I look at the analytics on my like Rollo roast videos, I either come out neutral or I actually lose subs. So I built my brand on texting, on demonstrations. That's why people buy my product. That's why people book coaching with me. That's why my brand grew. These Rollo videos, they're either neutral or potentially they even lose me subscribers. So I'm not getting any clout out of this. That's just factually not true. I'm not making any money off it. I'm doing it for several reasons. One, because it's fun. I enjoy having these nuanced discussions. Two, because I think it's missing in the community. And three, because I think Rollo is objectively wrong about some things. And I think no one is above criticism. Even if Rollo was close to God, he still wouldn't be above criticism. So that is why I do what I do. It's not for any financial gain. That's just like factually not true.
Here's a question. Now, let's take Rollo's 9-iron rules, because that's what our debate is about. We could say generally that in a general sense, these are good rules that men should frame.
Most of them.
Well, even though the ones that we disagreed on, and then with the different interpretation, you said you could agree with the interpretation of it. So with that being said, I'm saying with these interpretations and the ones that you agree with, that you already, and then the ones that you agree with my interpretation of it, we could say that this is a good framework for guys to have in their tool belt to help them benefit their relationships and have a better romantic life with an individual. Would you not?
Yeah, it's a good starting point. Sure. I mean, there's nothing like super like insightful there, but it's like a good basic framework with the way you interpret it. Yeah, sure.
And I think that is the positive in all this that we need to really highlight, is that, like, look, this is a good framework if applied correctly, that, and if with the right understanding of what this means or interpretation of this could be very beneficial for men in the community, or men all around the world. That none of this is detrimental to them, that it could be very beneficial and positive, that you would even co-sign on some of this stuff, and maybe a certain definition or under a different opinion of it or worded differently, that you would agree with this if it was done this way. Because you even said that, you know, you were a little more pessimistic when you read it, or from a negative standpoint, but my interpretation of it was a more healthier standpoint. So you would say the healthier standpoint of this understanding of these rules is a benefit for men around the world, just period. Right?
Sure, but I like kind of where you going with this one?
Well, I'm trying to like bring a positive note to this debate here. Is that like the way that you viewed it, as you said, was from a different perspective because you have a certain opinion of Rollo. But a neutral standpoint, or somebody that has a more positive view of Rollo, the words that were said that these rules could be beneficial.
Glenn, but I didn't think your interpretation was neutral. I thought it was positive. You might be right to argue that mine was on the negative side, but yours was on the positive side. So there's no way to know how neutral. Okay. I've met people who've interpreted the way I did, and I agree that Rollo does some good, but he also does some bad, and we should call out the bad as well as reward the good. We can't just reward the good and ignore the bad. Like we can't do that. Bad. And if I did some bad, my audience would hold me accountable to that as well.
Listen, he doesn't do bad.
Okay, so when he said that I kill people, that's not bad. Like you think that's okay? That's not problematic?
He didn't say you kill people.
Yes, dude, watch the clip.
I watched it, but I'm asking, is that the only one you have to say for bad, as in he does negative? That's different.
Bro, he just launched a fucking NFT.
Okay, like, he's really not that either. People out of money. Not that either.
Well, do you know what
the negative?
Did he or did he not launch an NFT?
Hold on. Negative as in bad. You said he does some good and he does some bad. Now, you're a literal guy, so you should be able to follow this. Bad meaning negative, negative meaning harmful, harmful meaning different from saying shit that you disagree with on a technical basis. He does not do harm to people. He's done a lot of good for people.
He has done a lot of good, but taking money out of people's pocket for something as scammy as an NFT, that's not a good thing.
First day holders of the NFT spent $190 and flipped it for $3,000. That's giving his fans utility to make their own
Dude,
money.
are you going to argue for the utility of NFTs?
No, not in general. I'm just telling you, not in general in the crypto NFT sphere. I can't tackle it all in one breath. But spending $190 as a fan of Rollo to make $3,000 on your first day is Rollo giving you a tool to flip and make your own money, and they did that.
Because it's a pump and dump. Because the only reason those people are going to make money is because the other people invest. It's a pyramid scheme. That's how NFTs work.
Right, you would think that.
That is literally the way anyone who has any level of common sense or in the financial industry.
You know
Like,
what?
NFTs are a notorious scam. They're designed to benefit the person who created them,
Right, that's
and
wonderful.
the people who are in the inside circle. Like let's just admit it. Like, he is trying to make a quick buck with that, which is fine.
Would you say the same thing about the books?
What?
Would you say the same thing about the books? The tired argument that an author is only trying to profit by selling books?
No, I don't have a problem with capitalism in any way. Like, I don't have a problem with him being capitalist. I do find it pretty weird that he's now writing his 5th book, which is on game, which is something that he knows close to nothing about since he hasn't been in the game.
Explaining the psychology of why game works.
How is he going to talk about something he hasn't done in 25 years?
You don't need to go out in the field and approach women at 50 when you're married to understand the psychology of how game works as a psychology major.
Game has radically changed since social media came about. 25 years has changed. He was doing game. He stopped doing game before the internet was even a thing, bro.
That's a tired argument. You'll get there. You'll be 50 at some point.
Let me chime in here.
I know I will be 50, but I certainly won't be preaching game and writing books on game when I'm 50.
Alex,
we'll check in and see.
Alex, let me chime in here. Let's we brought up the NFT, and I want
like NFT insiders win, everyone else loses. Yes, that's true. That's how everyone. Like, are you going to argue against that, Sabo? That NFT are like something that's good for the public?
I'm arguing against the idea that his advice hurt or harmed anybody.
You guys, let me say something.
Okay, let's we have to do it one at a time. NFTs, good or bad?
No, I'm not here to talk about NFTs. I'm here to talk about his advice, because that's what you criticize. That's what you made the videos about.
Well, because I can't keep up with all the things he does. Like, he just launched the NFT. I couldn't criticize.
He does not do harm to men. That's a claim that you're making by saying
NFT is taking money out of men's pockets and putting it in his pocket.
NFTs is putting a utility in people's pockets so they can flip it and make a profit for themselves, so the community can make money together.
NFT. Oh my god, dude, that's such a
right. Okay, right. No, I understand. And Glenn, I'm sorry. I know you're trying to chime in. I know this is getting heated. I know you're trying to keep the peace. Alex, if you purchased a crypto asset for a small price, by the end of the night you had flipped it for $5,000, I don't think you would be talking about how that harmed you.
Yes, a small amount of people are going to benefit, but a large amount of people are going to lose. That's how NFTs work. Just because someone wins on a pyramid scheme doesn't mean it wasn't a bad thing.
This is real quick.
And I'm not stupid enough to buy NFTs. I have 15K invested in crypto, but I'm certainly not going to invest my money in NFTs. That's fine.
That's your decision not to purchase an NFT. Nobody has a gun to anybody's head to purchase an NFT or to purchase.
No one has a gun. I'm not saying he's a thief. I'm not saying he's like robbing people at knife point, but he is low-key scamming people by creating an NFT. He's doing it to benefit himself and his closed audience. There's no other reason to do an NFT. I would be critical of literally any content creator or anyone who launches an NFT, because that's
right. And I understand that. And you can say that to the hardcore Rollo fans that bought an NFT for $190 and had $3,000 by the end of the night, because by being a fan of Rollo and buying his NFT,
that's a very small amount of people, and the only reason they're able to make that money because all the other people lost their money. Yeah, like this statement, like this: 3% of people benefit, 97% of people get hurt. Exactly, that's how NFTs work.
No, nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt when an adult makes a decision for himself.
They lose their money. They get scammed out of their money.
Some people buy NFTs because they think they're cool. They don't think they're going to make a profit off of it. And if they
let me rephrase. Is there anything that you think Rollo does wrong? Like, do you think he's just perfect? Like, is there anything you disagree with him on? Is there anything you think that he does?
You're reframing the point. You said there's some good that Rollo does and there's some bad he does.
Yes.
You being a literal guy, let's say bad means negative, negative means harmful, harmful means he hurts men with his advice. What advice has hurt men?
Okay, aside from the NFT thing,
that's in the fucking book.
It doesn't have to be in the book. He has like 5 million hours of content. I don't have to quote just from
All
his
right,
book.
that's in the book or that's in the stream. I mean,
Okay,
you want to watch?
I've seen a lot of Rollo fans. A lot of them want to begin coaching for me who become disillusioned and angry at women. I've seen it's called red pill rage. It's a common phenomenon. And I feel like Rollo perpetuates that. I feel like he encourages a lot of bitch-like behavior, which I've seen with his like fucking fanboys and his audience time and time again. Like I think he encourages a lot of things that are kind of problematic. So yeah, I do think he does definitely some bad things. I think that he creates paranoia by arguing for hypergamy to the extent that he does. To this idea where I see guys are literally paranoid that their girl is gonna, who they've been together with 5 years, is gonna step out on them because some magical high value guy comes along. So yeah, I actually do think that he does some bad things. And I think you'd be hard pressed to argue against those things.
Well,
I don't like that argument.
Okay, this is what I said, because when you said that part, the last part, what I took from that was, hey, in order for you to have more security in your relationship with your girl, always be the best option around. Always be the best option around that she sees. And you even said you agree to that. So
well, I agree with part of that. You should strive to be the best option, but you will never literally be the best option. I'm not delusional enough to think that I'm the best option in Miami.
But if you're always on your grind and always working at becoming the best version of yourself, the best option around, there's more security in that than you just saying, oh, well, the hypergamy is going to happen and my girl's going to leave me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's how you interpret it. It really comes
You should generally strive to self-improve. Yes, that is true. That's something I personally always practice. But at the same time, you should not have this idea that if you're not the literal best option around, that your girl is going to leave you. That's not correct. There's a concept called investment. So I know that I'm not the best option in Miami. There's better looking guys than me. There's richer guys. There's funnier guys. There's guys with bigger dicks. But my girl is very invested with me. So she's not going to leave me for those guys because of investment. That's a concept that Rollo usually misses, right? So hypergamy is not an absolute rule the way Rollo makes it out to be. Some girls are more hypergamous than others, yes, but the girls are not these like creatures with no impulse control that just jump on a dude's cock who's like super high value and leave a guy they've been with, especially if she's invested and especially if it's a healthy relationship.
But we have enough instances and stats and statistics to support that hypergamy does happen, and it does happen quite often. I mean, if you look at the divorce rate, 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and a lot of them do move on to someone else right away. So that would say like, hey, hypergamy is a real thing, guys. And you know what? In order to help you avoid dealing with this, be the best version that you constantly can be. Always strive at becoming a better version of
yourself. But you're never going to be the best option. Like there's going to be always guys who are better than you.
You guys do your thing. I'm gonna hang in the background, but let me know when I can explain something long-winded without being interrupted. But continue your points.
Well, go ahead, Sabo. I want to hear, because me and Glenn have been discussing for like an hour and a half. So let's hear. What do you have to say? I won't interrupt you. Go ahead.
I have 2 points I want to make real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let Glenn go first.
Well, let me get a bottle of water though before, because I'm getting a little dry thirst.
Hang on a second. Sorry, Glenn. This guy fucking irritates me. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
Hey,
write a couple of books.
All right, continue, sir.
I'm just trying to keep the fight clean, you know.
Well, it ain't gotta be clean.
I
just the way I express myself is a little less centered than yours. You smoke pot? I don't smoke pot. I'm always on edge.
I just smoke vape, so no pot.
Okay. Alex, you smoke pot?
Before I go to bed.
Okay. And to each of their own. What I was trying to get at is this: like, hypergamy is a real thing. A lot of guys deal with it. Okay, they come across it. I mean, I was married for 13 years, and my wife had 3 affairs on me. I dealt with this. I wasn't the best version of myself. I wasn't striving all the time at being the best version of myself. No, I was still a good husband. I was still a good guy. I was still doing things, but I wasn't doing the best of my ability all the time. And regardless of her cheating on me 3 times, at some point I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? And I was falling off. I was living in her frame. 2, I didn't understand this all these things. And one thing I could say about Rollo's work is that when I read his book, I literally said to myself, I have lived through every single one of these situations in the 13 years I was married before. And I was like, thank God that somebody wrote a book that because when I was trying to explain it to other guys what I was going through, they were like, "What the hell's wrong with you? What was the problem?" You know, they didn't understand. So what Rollo's work did speak to me because I literally went through a lot of these things, and I realized that I'm not the only guy that went through this. I'm not the only guy that was going through this. And the tools that I got from his book was like, wow, now I can recover from this. This does not have to be the detriment to my life. This doesn't have to be what defines Glenn Lawrence at all. You know, because Glenn Lawrence became an actor and did a lot of other things in his life. Became a bodybuilder, competed, won championships. Glenn Lawrence did a lot of things, and a lot of it was encouraged because of what Rollo's books were about and how I was able to understand. Because I never got the red pill rage to the point where like, oh, I hate all women. I was very suspect of a lot of women afterwards. But after a while and reading his book and listening to what he was saying, I realized he's very much against red pill rage. He said he doesn't tell you guys this to get you upset and hate women.
That's pretty ironic, Glenn, because he's literally pissed off in every single live stream I've ever seen him.
Well, he's very animated. I wouldn't say pissed off. I would say animated.
He has a very strong, like feminine, bitch-like energy. Like it's not the way we're having a discussion. Like he's always like he's always like fucking having a temper tantrum. So I just find that ironic. But okay, I see your point.
I guess I'm in the acting industry, so I understand performance. So I mean, I can see how you could take it that way.
He gets rolling on. I'm sorry, Glenn. He gets rolling on a point.
Yeah.
When you get rolling on a point and you don't have a co-star, that turns into a rant.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing as bitch-like energy.
No, but what I'm saying, like, I would say for me that his work personally really helped me out, and I benefited from it. I benefited even in my own relationship now. I benefit from it. And like I said, there's a lot of things that took me time to get to, like where I understood him, and that took time to actually really read his work and understand. And I want to say one more thing before I let Sabo go on about the NFT. The NFT really is to help support content creators and other people that are doing things that are in the Red Pill community. Like me and Sabo have projects we're talking about working on together. And an NFT helps fund these projects because, you know, if you don't know anything about the entertainment industry, a low budget movie is $350,000. And that's bare and minimum. So this NFT.
Tell me about it. Fucking tell me about it.
Like this NFT supports people that want to bring good content that are against like the content that we see right now that depicts men as weak and lame and, you know, all this other stuff. He wants to help benefit people that want to create content that is more popular, give men a better outlook on life, showing them a better presentation of what a man is, rather than what we're seeing in Hollywood now. And
we're going to do a red pill documentary with the profits from the NFT, and the proof will be when you can watch it when it's done.
Okay. Let me comment on what you said because you said a lot. Okay, so in terms of Rollo helping you, I don't doubt that. I mean, that's awesome. I'm glad that his book benefited your life. That's great. In terms of hypergamy, I think there's several things he gets wrong. I'm not denying that hypergamy is real, but I had Sean T. Smith, who's a legit doctor, on my podcast, and he had a very interesting debate with Rollo. Like he directly debated Rollo, and he has a much more correct understanding of hypergamy. And you should watch that debate if you want to get much more nuance when it comes to hypergamy. But I very much agree with what he was saying, is that hypergamy is Rollo exaggerates to which a degree it applies. He also misses the fact that men are also hypergamous as well. So he just attributes hypergamy as something that's a women-only type of thing, and he gets the extent of it wrong. It's less pronounced than it is, and it also applies to both genders. This is not just me nitpicking. This is a substantial disagreement. But I don't 100% disagree with him. Yes, I do think hypergamy is real, but the extent to which he says it is, I disagree with, and it applies to twice as many people that he says it is, because it also applies to both genders. Now, in terms of the NFT thing, this is the thing I find most problematic about you guys. Sabo, I have my doubts about you, but Glenn, you seem like a genuine guy. Glenn, you seem like a genuine guy, but the fact that you're standing up for the NFT thing, I'll just be honest, that's kind of sus.
Alex,
that's like
Alex.
Can hang on, Sabo, just hang on a second. Can you you have to be able to admit that, okay, like that is pretty shady. Like we have to be able to we can't look at people as these perfect beings who are incapable of wrong. Like that is clearly ethically dubious at best. if not extremely questionable behavior to create an NFT, which is something that, again, that's notorious. Like everyone knows NFTs are things that only benefit the person who creates it and people on the inside. So the fact that you're not able to call that out, I don't know. I find that pretty bizarre.
Alex, I'm producing the Red Pill documentary that the profits are going to. When you see the documentary, that's where the money went. We announced that people that were buying this NFT knew that they were buying it as a form of crowdfunding. And in addition to that, it's an added benefit if anybody flipped theirs for profit in the meantime. You will see this documentary. Try talking if the documentary never comes out, which would never happen because that's something that we can't run away from.
Sabo, if you're being super transparent like that about your NFT, then I find that okay. But I never saw him doing anything like that. If you're being fully transparent about where the money is going and you indeed use the money for that,
I'm producing it.
That's the thing. Yeah, Sabo produced Rollo's NFT. The Red Pill Diamond is Sabo's work.
You created Rollo's NFT.
I'm producing the documentary that the money is going to, and yes, I'm involved.
But you created the NFT. I find that very I don't believe that you created his NFT.
Okay, that's fine. Then don't believe it. I love the fact that way you just skipped over Glenn telling you about his life experience to get back down to textbook specifics.
No, I said that was awesome. Like, what else am I going to say about it? Like, that's awesome. Like, what can I say? Like, what else can I say about it?
Well, you get back to this thing about hypergamy instead of listening to what somebody just told you about their experience.
Okay, that's his experience. I mean, sure, that's awesome. But like, what am I gonna? How can I? Like, what else am I going to say about that?
Well, you're trying to say how problematic it is if somebody follows this work, and here's somebody that's followed this work is telling you that it benefited them. You don't listen. You don't listen to
the fact that his work helps people, and Glenn is one of those people that it helped. Like,
but you don't, Alex. You don't listen to people. If you listen to somebody instead of just waiting to figure out how you're going to make and devise your next point, I think you would understand some of my points. But I know that you're not going to hear me out. But I have a point about this tired argument about how red pill makes men angry at women.
Off topic? Like, I want to talk about that NFT thing, and you're kind of changing.
I don't want to talk about the NFT because that's a hot point for you.
You just made the claim that you created his NFT. I'm trying to understand.
And I just told you that you're going to see where the money goes. I also told you that holders are aware of what the money is going towards, and they bought in knowing that it was going to support a red pill documentary.
Okay, I'm asking you a simple question. Did you create Rollo's NFT? Like, are you?
Yes.
You created it, really?
Yes.
And you have record where all the money is going?
Yes, to the project.
Okay, I'd like to see proof of that because I have a hard time believing that. If that is true, then
of course.
If that is true, then I will happily change my position. If literally you can show me proof that you created that NFT and that all that money is going to the documentary.
Dog, I just booked flights with part of the profits. I just booked flights for Rollo fans to come and meet him. Tonight before I got into work.
Can you show me where on the Rollo NFT it says that the money is going to the film?
It's on our website.
Can you where? Like, help me find it. Like, where should I go?
Why don't you go look at the stream where we talked about it for an hour and a half?
Which stream? I don't know which stream we're talking
about.
It's
the only ones that say NFT in the title. That's
I'm not gonna be able to, can you show me like the website, like where I buy that? Like, can you show me?
No, I'm not breaking this down in detail for you. I just told you where the
Bro, I'm asking for proof. Like, you can't show me proof. Like, it's bizarre.
You could go look at it. You could go look at it after the stream. You're not gonna sit here and theorize how this is fucked up when I'm telling you I'm the producer of the film that the money is going towards. So you will see the film. So listen, if you didn't see the film in a year's time, then you can celebrate and you can say that we ran off of people's money, but that's never going to happen. And holders are going to be in the movie. Holders knew that's what they were buying into. So, but let me make the point that if an adult grown person is told, if you buy this, this is what it costs. This is where the money is going towards. Therefore, if you're buying it to support this cause. Then people know what they're buying into. Therefore, they are only scammed if we don't deliver on the promise. There is nothing else you could say about that, Alex, unless you want to pull something out of your ass.
All right, calm down, first of all. Second of all,
that's how I make points. It's not bitch energy. I get on a roll.
I mean, you seem like largely pissed off, dude.
Yeah, because you're attacking my uncle, bruh.
Your uncle? Like, you're related?
Yeah, that's Unc, bruh. Yes, that person, the person that you rip apart for the sake of having fun times and nitpicking has done more for me than your strange content or anybody has ever done. And if you'd actually listen to somebody's experience, I'll tell you a story about how enemy of the state Rollo actually saw a group of young men that were tirelessly working on funding their own projects, came out, met us, saw it, invested in us, made nothing off of us in return, just for the sake of seeing men perform at their best. I've never had somebody lift me up like that in my life.
Like, you don't think you might be like fanboying way too hard at this moment?
No. Would you fanboy over somebody that invested in you because they believed in you and received nothing out of it, but just for the sake of them wanting to see you do well?
Would I fanboy? I don't know. I've never fanboyed over anyone. Like the
No,
closest
I didn't say I'd fanboy, which are literal definitions of everything. Okay, I'm
but it
talking
sounds
about.
like I mean, like you're kind of like derailing this combo. Like we keep going off different tangents. Like we can talk about
no, but you
hypergamy,
need to let.
we can talk about NFTs.
Alex,
we can't talk about
Alex,
everything at once.
Alex, you need to let this be heard, and you need to let this stay up on your stream. Because when you make a mockery of Rollo, the Rollo haters come in. When the Rollo haters come in, they think they're talking about a bad person. So from here on out, you could say whatever you'd like about Rollo, but please, without interrupting me, let me just tell you, I was a struggling filmmaker.
Okay.
I worked 2 jobs. I put all of my money into a feature film that I made by myself, an entire feature film by myself.
Okay.
I didn't have enough money to do a second feature. Instead, I started a series. I read Rollo's book. I thought it would be a kick. I thought it would be a goof to invite him out to do a cameo. I blindly reached out. He blindly reached back. I booked his flight. I planned on paying him for the role. He came out. He saw how hard we worked. He saw how we hardly had anybody behind the camera. He liked what he did. And when Rollo likes something and he believes in somebody and he wants to see men perform at his best, he does as so. He gave me the money for the flight back. He did not accept payment. When he got home, he sent me an extra couple grand and said, put it into the next episode. He has benefited off my film in no way, shape, or form. He has not received royalties. He has not received money. That is what Rollo does for people that he feels are actually creating a benefit for men. Rollo is the kind of guy that always has other people's names in his mouth. He is always quick to speak on somebody that he disapproves of, but he is equally quick to speak on somebody who he admires. And if he admires you, he promotes you without you even needing to ask him to. So that's what he's done for my life. Y'all can sit on the internet and say what you want. This is my experience of somebody I knew personally, and understand the context. This was a gig. I hired Rollo professionally, not thinking we were going to be boys, not thinking he was going to help. I hired him as an actor. Come in, get your check, do a scene, go home. And he said, I don't need any of that. Keep your money and take some more because you guys are kicking ass. Nobody in the movie industry ever helped us. I have a Hollywood celebrity cousin who wouldn't distribute my movies. Jay-Z's not coming to save us. Sylvester Stallone's not coming to save us. Nobody from the industry gives a fuck except him. And that's how much he cares about people. And I have to sit here and listen to this bullshit on a technical basis nitpick of everything he's ever done. And then you're actually going to speak like, it's harmful and I think it's really hurting people. He didn't leave us all fucking deterred against women and angry and upset. He lifted us up into a place that I am blessed for. And I am not the only person that he's done that for. And you have done that for who, when in your life ever? Or have you only ever benefited yourself?
Dude, you're talking about how much he helped your life. You sound so fucking pissed off. Okay, sure, he helped you. I'm glad you had a really great experience with Rollo. But it sounds like at this point, like you literally are worshiping the guy, which to me is kind of bizarre. And you're getting so triggered by the fact that I'm criticizing him, which is also kind of bizarre to me.
You're criticizing my friend, bro, not just some guy on the internet.
Okay, I'm criticizing your friend. I have a channel. I'm allowed to criticize who I want. I also don't have to do a lot of the other stuff I do. I also don't have to let you and Glenn on my channel, let you speak and get your perspective out. Not a lot of content creators do that. I'm willing to do that. So I'm also
it provides you an opportunity to stomp us out in a debate.
I think that's a good point.
That's why you do it.
Oh, yeah, it's good content. It's good entertainment. Yeah, I would not be doing this if there was no audience here. So what? I'm a content creator. I make entertaining content.
Hold on.
Like, how's that problematic?
Let me say this. I really want to say that, you know what? I want to applaud Alex for bringing us on because he didn't have to. And I think we had a good debate before things got a little crazy. We're still a little crazy right now.
I mean, I think it's chill. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I'm not telling nobody to go fuck their mother, Glenn. I just get animated when I talk.
Well, I mean, that's pretty funny. Grandmothers, maybe, not mothers.
But I do find it kind of ironic that you're talking about Rollo doesn't tell anyone to have red pill rage, and you seem so angry and so raged. Like, do you not see the irony in that, Sabo?
Yes. Do you not see the irony in somebody being angry about you disrespecting their friend? What if I disrespect your friend?
You're more than welcome to say whatever you want about my friends. You're more than welcome.
That's fucking ridiculous, Alex. No, I am not allowed to just be like, Alex, who's your best friend? Who's had your back whenever you needed them? Fuck them. And
yeah, you can, dude. You have your own channel. You can say what you want. There's things in America.
No, that's not common decency. We don't do everything for the sake of clicks over here. That's horrible.
It has nothing to do with clicks. It's me speaking my opinions. This is the stuff I truly believe.
No, and Alex, you are very good at what you do. You have a skill for debate, and you
I
also
know
have
I
a
am
skill for
good. Thank
game.
you.
You're excellent at what you do, but what you fail to do is actually listen to anybody's learned experience.
No,
You
I'm
can't
dude,
listen to anybody's learned experience. You look for it to be specific and
No, dude,
detailed in book
I'm
definitions.
listening to you. I get it. You and Glenn both had good experiences with Rollo. I'm not negating your experiences. And like, I'm happy for you. Great. He helped you, Sabo, and he helped you with his book, Glenn. That's awesome. Great.
I want to say something real quick. Alfie, I see you in the chat, boy. And you are too much.
Oh yeah, Afi likes control. Afi's a good guy though. We've had collabs.
Yeah. Me and Alfie have met up.
Afi, you want to come on the stream too? I can let you on, Afi, if you want.
Alfie's a good friend,
Yeah, Afi's cool. I'll send
Alex, I just think if you want to say that a guy's done no good because you disagree with his points, I think you should go and fund somebody worth funding.
That's the thing, Sab. I never said that. I never said he done no good. I acknowledged many, many times that he has done good things. I'm just saying there's also some bad things that he's done. There's good and bad. I would say that people
go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
It's very rare that someone is all good and not bad. Usually people are a combination of both.
Yes. Right? No.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so can you like right now like say that there are some things that Rollo does that are questionable at least?
Not so far in my experience.
Okay, so like I don't even know where to begin. How about the fact when he said that I kill people? Is that questionable?
You know the point he was trying to make in that.
Like that's the thing. He was literally saying, Alex, by criticizing me, you are killing people because I'm saving people.
Alex, when you hold everybody to the literal text of what they say instead of having nuance, that's what you get. You get something like Rollo saying I kill people. You know what he meant, and you also know
I don't know what he meant, dude. Like what did he mean?
Alex, when you make somebody enemy of the state and they explode, you don't hold them to the words they said once they exploded. You're just fucking with him forever.
Why are these grown men so triggered? Rollo is 50 years old. He should have at least some impulse control, that he has like some control of his emotions. Okay, you're a young guy, Savo. I'll excuse it on your part. But Rollo, he's a grown-ass fucking man. Like he should be able to control
Alex, I'm not insulting you. I yell when I'm on StreamYard.
I don't feel insulted. I'm just saying, like, you're kind of like whatever, you're kind of getting triggered. But that's fine. You're a young guy.
I'm full of piss and fire, brother.
You're young, but Rollo's a grown-ass fucking man. He's 50 years old. He should be able to control his emotions.
Right. That along with every other critique you can reach for. Absolutely. It's a whole barrel of straws. Everything you could do. Well, he should maintain, maybe he should.
No, but I'm not afraid to criticize people. And it seems like you're really afraid of criticizing him because he did something.
No, Alex, if I heard a point by his I disagreed with, I would disagree with it.
But it sounds like you're just going to disagree with
Right. No, absolutely. I know what it sounds like. It sounds like I would agree with everything Rollo says, just like you'll always find a way to disagree with most of what we're saying in order to win a debate. But that's not what's going on here.
I literally disagreed with half the shit that Glenn said.
Okay, if he said something...
I posted the link. Go ahead.
If he said something that I disagreed with, I could admit that I disagreed with it. I said that in my critique of you, it's not about where you disagree with Rollo. It's the fact that you spend too much time on it.
That's your opinion. I'm allowed to, like, it's my channel. Like,
no, of course you're allowed to. You're allowed to do whatever you want. But that was my critique. And I said, I am not a part of a cult. If Rollo said something I disagreed with, I could happily admit that I disagree with it. He is his own man. I'm my own man. But to have the disagreement and move on. So my question is, and this is a sincere question, answer it however you'd like to. This is not an attack or a debate tactic.
Okay.
Why is it that instead of working on your more successful material, which is helping guys in step-by-step game, which is what a lot of the shorts look like. Here's a strategy, use this text strategy, here's me in the field. Why is it that you can't simply say, I think my strategies work the best, and when it comes to a lot of those red pill things, I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think you might want to use my strategy instead of theirs, instead of turning it into 9 different 2 to 3 hour long breakdown analyses of why Rollo's wrong.
Okay, well,
that is what my video was about, is that you're good at what you do, stick to what you do, having a disagreement, and move on. Don't make it a marathon. Right now, you're on a marathon.
I mean, like, what does that even mean? Like, the only way I could make it not a marathon is if I cut you guys off and kick you out. Like, if we're going to have a discussion, it's going to go for a while. I'm like,
no, not this specific one, the last series of streams.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So let me answer your question. There's several reasons why I do that. One, because I enjoy having debates. Like, it's something that's fun for me, so I enjoy it. Two, I think it makes interesting content. I don't think there's anyone in the manosphere who does that. I think it's important to have these discussions. I think it's important for people who disagree to come together and hash out their ideas. I've had so many situations where I've had people on for debate who you would think we would largely disagree on, and then in the debate we realize we really have a lot more in common, and it bridges the gap. So I think it's important to have these healthy discourses. It's important to have these discussions, and there's not a lot of people who are willing to do that. And the last thing is, I think it's important to not just stay in your own lane and just ignore everyone else, but to actually call out bad ideas. I have an obligation to the manosphere to call out things that I see as problematic. I would not be doing my job if I just focus on myself and ignore all the things that I see as problematic. I don't believe in this mindset that you should just focus on yourself and ignore everyone else. I like to call out what I see as problematic. You might disagree with me on something that I think is problematic. You think it's not problematic, but I think it's important for people to call shit out that they find problematic.
Right. When you break down rules and chapters of books written by more successful content creators, when you call it out and you break it down and you disprove it by offering a counter perspective. That counter perspective is yours. So in a roundabout way, what you're saying is, I've disproven a more popular perspective. You may want to try mine instead, and welcome to my brand.
Okay, that's your opinion on how I should do it. I do it differently.
That's what you do. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be intentional, even though I think it is. When you disprove somebody else's points, you have to offer a counter perspective that is your own perspective.
I do that. I have a whole channel full of like every single Rollo rule. I have my own take on it. Like, a lot of them I agree with, but I literally have I don't think there's anything in relation to game or being a man that I don't explain on my channel. Like, I've already covered everything like 5 times over. I have guides and instructions for everything. You could literally learn everything you need to know about game, pickup, getting laid, keeping a girlfriend from the videos on my channel. So I already do that. I already offer the other perspective.
Yeah, no, and you do excellent with that. But when you spend hours trying to prove Rollo wrong, you can only prove him wrong by offering a counter suggestion, which is your method. And when you
I did that earlier today. Like, we were talking about, I forget which rule, but there was the rule about the living with a girl. I was like, I literally did that with every rule. I'm like, I think that instead of this, it should be this. So I literally did that all throughout the stream.
Right. So so when you do that, you're offering your perspective by subsequently tearing down another perspective instead of offering your perspective while ignoring other perspectives.
Why? But again, I just said I don't believe in ignoring things that I see as problematic. We should be able to call things out that are objectively wrong.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but I also think that we can also do it in a way that is cohesive. Be like, hey, you know what? This may work for you. I don't necessarily agree with it, but here's another option that you can use if this doesn't work for you. Because the red pill is not a rule. It's not an ideology. It's not a cult. It's a praxeology. Meaning,
Glenn, do you see how ironic that is, since it's called 10 Iron Rules?
Yeah, but again,
being a robot literal again.
Dude, I didn't make up the name.
It's literally rule. Glenn, can we go to the definition and find the definition of rule? Can we go to the dictionary and get that?
I don't think
what
we need to, because I think we agree on the definition of rule.
I think you're good with women because you analyze them the same way a robot does, like the Terminator. I think when the Terminator sees women, the way the red vision kind of like it has all their stats and you're able to compute, this is how I move forward with them. I don't think you ever needed a book.
I mean, first of all, that's like not even how game works. Like, being overly logical is highly detrimental in game. That's why people who are
you don't think there's logic in game?
What?
You don't think there's logic in game?
I think being overly logical can definitely cripple your game results. Yeah, for sure.
So if game doesn't come from logic, what does it come from? It doesn't come from emotion.
Game is largely emotional, bro. Do you not know that? Game is largely emotion. You're not going to logically get a girl to fuck you. You get her on an emotional level.
Yeah, but you logically manipulate emotion. You don't emotionally manipulate emotion.
Game is largely emotional. It's not logical. Yeah.
I don't think emotion.
How are you not understanding that? Game is emotional.
I think
you have to have logic in order to understand why game works on women.
No, how about naturals? Naturals get the best results typically.
Are you a natural?
I mean, no, but I learned from a lot of naturals. Yeah, I talked about it in my videos. My biggest inspiration was a natural friend I had.
Did you have a civil conversation with Caleb Jones? I'm just curious.
Caleb Jones, yeah, we got along really well.
I was just curious. I didn't know. My bad. I like
Yeah,
it.
we agree on pretty much everything.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead, Glenn. My bad.
What I was trying to say is like rules. Like, if we need the definition, I pulled it up. It says basically one of a set of explicit or understood regulations.
Glenn, we don't actually have to do that. He was kidding. He was being hyperbolic.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm gonna read it. So these are rules or governing conduct of a particular activity or sphere. All right. So he's just basically like, hey, to have the best outcome with women, these are some pretty good outlines, principles to operate by.
Yes.
That's basically what he's saying.
And for the points I mentioned, there's some things that he says that I disagree with. So I've criticized that.
I think you have every right to say, I disagree with this.
Right, which is what I've done. But it sounds like the root of the issue here for Sabo, because Rollo has helped him so much personally, he takes issue with me criticizing him, which I guess makes sense, but that's not really like correct.
I would have taken the same issue with you if you were criticizing a different content creator because of the manner in which you go about doing it.
Bro, you literally just said he's my uncle, he's my friend. Like, I mean, clearly you have a personal bias.
That's part of it. No, I'm sorry, Glenn. The part in which I get upset personally is when you like call him a bitch while I'm in the stream. But in terms of the way you critically break him down, that I would take issue with the way you critically break him down.
Like, the fact that Alex, fact that he's not willing to have his own debates, I am gonna call him a bitch. The minute that he steps up and like is actually willing to debate, I'll stop calling him a bitch. But if he's gonna act like a bitch, I'm gonna call him a bitch.
Alex, debating detractors is bad for a brand. Do you understand that?
How is that bad for a brand? I've
do you think a publicist of a famous person would advise that they go and debate people that said they ain't shit?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Not like but I'm not some random person. I have a pretty popular channel. I do think it's a good idea to debate your critics. Yeah. Rollo, literally in his book, Rollo says talks about the importance of discourse and debating people that you disagree with. So like he literally says that himself, but he's not willing to do that. So yes, I am going to call him a bitch if he's not willing to act on that. The minute that he steps up, grows some balls, and like debates for himself, then I'll stop calling him a bitch. Like, I don't know. Like,
here's a question. All right, here's and this is the way I think. Do you guys listen to the rapper Game? Alex, did you ever listen to the rapper Game?
The Game? Like, I'm not that big on rap, but I've heard of him, yeah.
Okay. You know who Eminem is, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So the Game is trying to make a diss record for Eminem, right? But at one point, he said Eminem was the greatest thing in the world. Now he's trying to make a diss record because he's trying to revamp his rap career, right? Does Eminem really need to respond to the Game?
He didn't respond to Nick Cannon for the same reason.
I mean, bro, like Eminem responds. Eminem calls out a lot of haters. Like he's gone after fucking MGK many times. So I sort of see where you're going with that, but that analogy doesn't work.
Not the ones that aren't worthy, like Nick Cannon in the Game. They weren't worthy enough to him.
But MGK was worthy. MGK is like the biggest bitch in the world.
Well, MGK said something about his daughter. But that's besides the point. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't necessarily need to respond. And I'm saying, I would think it would be a great debate. I think it would be a wonderful debate to have you guys both, discuss your differences and your opinions.
It would fucking be amazing. Like every person would want to see that.
I think you can both get some good outcomes out of it. But what I'm trying to get at is that, like, you know what? Sometimes we have someone invested in criticizing your work so much, you really don't need to give it. It's like giving you, in a way, it's like he's giving you. If by responding, he'll be giving you a fuel. Like
that's why it's bad for a brand.
It's literally the opposite. After Donovan debated me, I took down my video of him, not because I disagree with him, but I did that out of respect, because Donovan had the balls to come on my channel, and out of respect, I took down the video I had about him. So if Rollo had the balls to do something like that, then that would actually make me gain a lot of respect for him, and that would probably significantly decrease how much I call him out.
Nah, it would just be an opportunity for you.
Like literally with pretty much everyone who's ever gone on my channel, I've never called them out. Like Donovan is a perfect example. I disagree with a lot of shit that Donovan does, but out of respect for the fact that he was willing to come on my channel and debate, I made that video private. That video was getting a lot of views, but I was like, you know what? Donovan had the balls to do this. Out of respect for him, even though I still disagree with a lot of shit he does, I'm gonna make that video private. And I would probably do the same thing for Rollo, honestly. But if Rollo in his book says, hey, you should always be able to, you should discuss with I forget how he says it, but something like you should debate people who think differently than you, but he's not willing to do that. Yeah, that's kind of bitch-like behavior to me.
I don't know. I don't think it's bitch-like behavior. Like to me, it's like, you know what? I have a lot of critics, and sometimes like I don't even pay attention to them. They can say whatever they want about me, and it's just like, okay.
But Glenn, you don't have a book that says you should debate people who think differently than you. You don't have a book that says that. It's a little different.
But Alex, that's your opinion versus the way a publicist would advise their talent. A publicist would never advise their talent to hurt their brand by debating.
Sabo, do you realize how every single criticism I have, you're just making excuses for Rollo?
No, you're sideswiping. No, you're sideswiping me. I'm making an excuse for the reason not to go and debate a detractor when it hurts your brand. I don't think any publicist
it would not hurt his brand. If anything, it would help his brand. My audience would gain massive amounts of respect for him. I'm not like some insignificant person. I have 100,000 subs. My channel's growing rapidly. I'm not like some random person who like no one knows about. It would definitely, if anything, be helpful. At worst, it would be neutral. Okay, here's Afi, so I'll have him on.
Oh, Jesus, Afi, save us.
Oh man, the Black Stallion.
Afi, save us.
What's up, Afi? I haven't talked to you in ages.
What's up with it? How y'all doing, bro?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
You're getting frisky around here. Y'all real frisky, man. What's going on, man? I gotta bring the player energy. Y'all getting catty and all of that. What's going on, man?
Yeah, man. I don't think we're being catty. I think it's been a good discussion. You know, Sabo got a little animated at times.
I'm charged up, brother. Don't hold it against me. I'm charged up.
Yeah, no, I'm not holding it against you. I mean, if you notice, I've been respectful to both of you guys throughout this whole debate. Like that's
no, you're respectful. I think I've been respectful too. I'm just wild.
It's highly debatable, Sabo.
It's highly debatable for you to call my family a bitch, bro.
So, dude, like, should we pull up the dictionary definition of bitch? I mean, like, I think you're gonna find Rollo's picture when you pull it up.
I don't know. You might have a couple of different definitions, and you might get crossed mentally.
Yeah, like this.
May not compute.
Rollo 147K subs, Alex 100K. Come on, like I have 120K in my TikTok. If you include my TikTok, I actually have more following than him. So like this idea that he's so much more popular than you is just not factually true. Like we're both fairly popular content creators. Yeah, maybe he's a little bit more popular than me because he has books on Amazon, whatever. But it's not so insignificant that he can't debate me. I've debated people way more popular than him. I debated Destiny, who's way more popular than. And Destiny never said to me, Alex, you have a little less clout than me, so I can't debate you. My publicist said that this could be bad for my image if I lose. No, Destiny was a man. He was like, yo, dude, like we're gonna disagree, whatever. Let's get into it. Like this is what everyone thinks. Like everyone would want to see that debate. Like, I don't know anyone who would be like, you know what, that's a bad idea. I don't want to watch that. And like, I think anyone who knows my channel knows that I am respectful to every person who has the balls to come on my channel and have a debate. And even if Rollo acted like a complete douche, I would still be relatively respectful to him.
Blood sport for clout is bad for any brand. And I don't think any publicist would.
But it doesn't get me clout. Like this, I've already disproved that many times. We can pull up my YouTube analytics.
Alex, it's not about clout. Beef is bad for business. And there's a lot of emotions tied into these kind of subject matters, if you haven't noticed. Not on my part. I'm animated because I'm an animated freak. That's just how I am. But clearly the reason people get so upset about these subject matters is they don't just want to sit back and ease back like you do and get into the analytics of everything and interpret it like a robot. Their emotion is in it because a lot of people believe this shit is wrong. So it would be seen as beef, and beef has always been bad for the business of a brand. I understand that you feel differently about it, but that does not change the fact that universally, I think most publicists would say this is going to be bad for your brand to debate a detractor. You can't agree with me on that. You could have a different opinion about Rollo.
Then don't put in your book that you should debate people who think differently than you. Then say my publicist won't let me do it. Like he has millions of dollars. Like really, he can't do a debate. Like especially after in his book he says.
I didn't say it meant he was going to lose money in particular. It's just not good for a brand. It's not even good for me to be here, and I'm not even popular.
But I highly disagree with that. He debates blue pill people all the time. He debated Lauren Southern, so he has no problem debating blue pill people because he knows he can defeat blue pill people. But he has a hard time debating someone like me who understands game, who's not blue pill. So he can't just like call me some blue pill beta because that's not going to work. He has to actually get into the nuances with me. That's why he never debates like dating coaches. He only debates.
You know what, Alex? I'll make one more point and then I'll leave. Can you agree with me that, or can you at least understand that the whole reason we're going to disagree on everything is that I'm not a fan of debate. You're actually a fan of head-to-head debate. I'm a fan of people having a conversation and actually being able to see something from each other's point of views.
I mean, I like to learn from other people. Like, I like to think that I'm fairly open-minded. So I don't agree with this notion that I'm only trying to prove people wrong. Like, if someone, I don't disagree for the sake of disagreeing, like you claimed in your video. I will, if someone makes a good point, I will just like agree with them. I've done that many times throughout my debates. So yeah, if someone can change my mind, I'll agree with them. I don't just like disagree for the sake of disagreeing.
Let me say
Go ahead, Appy.
let me say this real quick. Sabo, I disagree with you because I've been doing this shit, bro. Beef and bitches are good for business, bro. Now I'm not saying that you gonna come to, but that's what gets the views, bro. Beef and bitches. So it is good for business if you want views and shit. It is good for business. Now it may not be good for your integrity. It make you feel good, but if you talking about some views, no. Beef and bitches is the science of this shit.
Look at Fresh and Fit. They build their whole brand off beef, literally.
So that's I mean that's not even debatable. It's either you accept
but there's levels to it. There's levels to it. It's not black and white, because when Fresh and Fit beefed with other content creators, it was horrible for business. Beefing with the guests
right.
on
because they're young, they didn't do it right, bro. Because
they got destroyed by Ab and Preach.
They barked up a tree. They didn't know.
Yeah, they did it in the worst way possible.
Because them was some square cats. They thought they were just gonna take that little shade and just they didn't expect Abba and Preach to go toe to toe with them. So that's what happened with that, bro. They didn't expect that. They some square ass cats. They don't seem like they built for that. So that they thought they was gonna do was just throw their shots and then get the props and shit. They didn't expect them cats. I didn't expect them cats to go at their asses hard, bro. So that's why that happened. If they were on their Machiavelli strategic shit, they could have baited them guys in, right, and then had Abba and Preach look like the bad guys.
But there's levels to it. That's all I'm saying. Everything isn't as black and white. There's definitely a sector of viewers that, like, Appy, if we beefed, there's certain people that love you so much, they'd be like, how could Sabo do Appy like that? And there's people that like me enough to be like, how could Appy go at a kid half his age for no reason? You know what I mean? Instead of just being like, and then there's neutral people I understand who would be like, all right, fuck it, they handled their business. But generally, if you're not a famous rapper, beef is not advised for the name of your brand, usually.
Okay, Sabo.
I don't beef, but I still know that beef and bitches is the science. That don't just because I know it don't mean I do it. I talk my player shit and I had player cats. But I still know that though. But I just know that if I get popular on YouTube for beefing with cats and I get a lot of fucking views, I can't not have beef then no more. And that's how come I don't do it, because once just Fresh and Fit, they're popular because of the broads. Right now if they ban the broads, then what the fuck? That's gonna take a lot of their shit away, bro. That's gonna be 30% away if they just stop having them hoes on there, bro. People are gonna stop watching that shit. It's gonna be only that core people. I'm talking about all the way. If they were to just have the girls off all the way, that shit gonna go down, bro. You know, just think about it. They do their morning shits, don't get the same views as their night shit. You think that's a coincidence because it's day and night? No, it's because it's the bitches, bro. You just got to. This is game, bro.
People love drama. That's an unfortunate reality.
Oh, you would know.
Certain shit is not debatable. Certain things are just facts, bro. And I mean, Alex knows because I've been doing this shit 4 years, bro. He been doing this shit longer than me, bro. It's like, so certain things, I don't know what y'all were talking about before, but on this particular topic, it ain't no debate, bro. It's beef and bitches.
I disagree that it's that black and white. I don't think it's either yes or no. I think there's levels to it. How dirty does the beef get? The viewership also. Now,
I'm not gonna get dirty. Everyone knows that. I'm like the most respectful debater.
Yeah. But check it. If a sector of your audience also fucks with also are a fan of the opposing point of view, they don't want to choose sides.
Yeah, I ain't gonna beef though.
But they don't have to choose sides.
I don't go back and forth with motherfuckers. I don't have people make videos about me. You're gonna get a rebuttal and that's it. So that's just the way I move. But I can't speak for everybody else. I done got docs and people talk shit about me, but I'm not about to go back and forth about that shit because I like getting money, player, and fucking hoes.
But Sabo, there's two things I want to mention. First of all,
I like making money, I ain't got time to be stirring up streams because a motherfucker want to mention my name, especially if I can't get no subs off it. What the fuck I'm gonna do? My ego is in tech player. I'm 40. So this is some wisdom coming out here. I'm not no young guy just feeling myself, bro. I had channels deleted. I know what the fuck I'm talking about, man.
Hold on. I think that's a good point you just made, Afi, because you just said that you wouldn't respond to somebody if you weren't going to get anything out of it, right? So Alex said because Rollo won't debate him, then he's a bitch. But if Rollo doesn't see that he would get anything out of it, then would you consider him a bitch, Offie?
You know, it's just certain type of vibes, bro. Like for me, I know my vibe, so Rollo knows his vibe. So it's certain things that you are not gonna get nothing out of it, and it's not entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Like certain guys, they just talk just to, I mean, they listen just to respond, just shit like that. Some certain guys are like assholes and they just want to show off and roast you, like just certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like John Anthony lifestyle. I wouldn't go back and forth with him because if I did a video with him, he'd be making videos about me for fucking 5-6 months. But I'm saying I know people's personality, bro. That is the finesse game. I'm trying to put you on game.
Yeah, so
it's like when you are a warrior, bro, you have to fucking evaluate your opponent. And if you don't do that, then that means you're going off of emotions, right? So if I know how to get it, if I know how to fuck with you, then I win every time. You see, just like with Alex. Alex ain't gonna say it, but I know it. Alex knows how to trigger your ass. He figured you out, so he wants to fuck with you. You see, so that's the mind shit. People, when if you listen, boom, okay, I know how to fuck with him. But you don't know what's happening because it's the ego and the emotion that's coming out. But if you smart on your Machiavelli shit, okay, you're not supposed to show your cards and shit. I'm telling you.
I don't think Alex fucked with me tonight. I think we had a good, healthy debate, and we had a decent. We bridged some gaps.
I try not to use dark triad tactics on my debate opponents. That I will. I try not to do that because I find that kind of.
Listen, I think we got to get back to a point where we want to sit down and have a conversation and see the opposing point of view and actually try to understand it.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the big thing that has been missing so far. If Rollo didn't have it in his book that you should debate people who think differently than you, I wouldn't be holding him to that standard. I'm holding him to the standard that he set for himself. He says you should debate people who think differently, and he won't debate me. But it's not that he doesn't debate anyone. If he's like, I don't do debates, I would let that slide. Whatever. He doesn't do debates. That's fine. Not everyone has to do that. But he does do debates, but he only debates blue pill opponents. He picks his fights. He's like the Jake Paul of debates. Jake Paul only wants to fight people who are easy layups. He doesn't want to fight legit fighters. That's exactly what he does.
Okay, all right. First of all, Rollo doesn't go looking out for easy targets because Rollo doesn't go out looking for debates. Rollo doesn't go out looking to have a debate like you do. He gets offered to come on shows, and sometimes there's disagreements that he doesn't go out looking for who can I take down next like you do. So there's a difference in the approach to the content.
Disagreeable, but okay.
No, he literally doesn't. I've never seen him be like, who can I debate to try to up the channel a little bit? I'm going.
I mean, he was trying to debate H3 because H3 would be like the weakest opponent ever. I could destroy H3 while taking a shit.
Yeah, well, look how hyped on takedown you are. I could take him down. I could destroy him. You don't want to sit down and hear anybody.
H3, that guy's like the biggest bitch on YouTube. Like,
but it's okay that this is your sport. You know, I mean, because you kind of said that you do. I enjoy debate. You said that. Yeah. So like it's your sport, but it's not always good for brands. And if you want to look at it like that, Rollo's not an equal opponent in the respect that he's not going out looking for debates. He's not going out looking to do this like you are. You're actively looking to do this. At least I don't
have a book that says it's a different standard because he actually says in his book that that you
not hard detractors, not hell-bent haters who make a stream.
I'm not a hell-bent hater, dude. I agree with like 70% of the stuff he says.
Yeah, I know, but the obsessive nature in the way that all these streams
purely your speculation. It's literally less than 1% of my content, dude. Like people, if all you have to do is watch some of my debates, and you'll see I'm actually a very respectful opponent. I never bring up personal stuff. I never make it personal. I'm always respectful of my opponents. I always let them talk. I don't pull any dirty shit. So like, no, like I refuse to accept this idea that I'm like some crazy hater that's like gonna fucking disrespect him when he comes on my channel. Like that's like so
listen. You have done too much for it to seem like it's a good move. You've done too much for it to seem like that would be worth anybody's time.
You do realize he talks about me fairly often too. He's talked about me multiple times already. He just
recently got on his bad side.
Dude, I don't give a fuck. He can suck my dick. Dude, he recently did a community. He recently did a community post where he said that I'm a what's it called? I'm a crony for Anthony Johnson. Okay, try to defend that statement for me. I can pull it up right now.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you, you got an opportunity based on the fact that you tried to detract Rollo's ideas. That's what that is.
How does that make me a crony for?
Well, no, it
Anthony?
can't. I mean, now it doesn't. I mean, maybe that's not wasn't your intention, but you roll with a gang of Rollo detractors. That's what makes it bizarre and obsessive. There's a bunch of y'all.
I roll in a gang. I literally spoke at his conference once.
Well,
No, I know.
Me and Anthony don't even get along that well. He's not like
No,
my.
I know. But listen, for those of you that are actually like listening to this in the chat, but look at the opportunities that can actually come about from trying to disprove Rollo. You could get an opportunity to speak at a conference.
Dude, I think I like to think that I spoke at that conference for my own merit because I think.
Well, you're wrong about that.
How do you know? Do you know Anthony?
I know enough to know that he got enough of a boner for Rollo. Like that's about like bigger than the boner you got for him, and he was like, we can all put our boners together.
I'm curious. Have you ever met Anthony? Like, how do you know that the only reason?
No, but he grabbed you. He grabbed you, and he grabbed the other guy that detests Rollo. That I
even though my speech had absolutely zero to do with Rollo, and he wasn't mentioned once in my speech.
Excuse me.
Rollo was not mentioned once during my speech at the 21.
No, I know, but he sought you out based on a mutual discontent for Rollo.
You don't know that, dude. That's just highly your speculation.
Nah, it's not my speculation. It's not my.
How do you? Okay, has he told you that?
Because if you publicly detest Rollo, you get to go and hang with that cat.
There's a whole bunch of other people who detest Rollo that didn't get to speak at the conference. Like,
Hey,
I like to think.
Who's that dude? Who's that doofy guy with the muscles, the bulky looking cat?
Who? John Anthony or who?
Is that John Anthony?
I don't know who you're talking about.
He like does what you do, except he does it like a lot worse. He like sit there and he's like, Rollo's broke, bro. I found his records.
You're talking about John Anthony. I mean, John Anthony does have like really fucking good game. So
no, he's got good game, but he got opportunity from 21 Convention also because it's like the Rollo hate group boner, and it's like we all put our boners together.
Again, this is all your speculation, dude.
No, that's a pattern, dog. That's a pattern,
dude. I think I'm like fairly accomplished, like in this space. Aside from my criticism of Rollo, like I think I've done pretty good enough.
No, you spoke. I saw you speak at a conference that had nothing to do. But hold up, Glenn. Let me just do my thing. You spoke at a conference that had nothing to do with 21 Convention. I saw that. I saw that you also did another conference, and I don't know how often you do conferences, but I'm sure it won't be the last conference that you do because you do have a talent for this on top of the Rollo hate and shit. But in that particular instance, you got an opportunity to join the Rollo hate club. That's what that was. I'm telling you that.
Bro, that's your speculation. I like to think that it had to do with the fact that I contribute a lot of value to the community. Maybe part of it had to do with the fact that I dislike Rollo. There's no way of knowing that. But that aside, that does not make me a crony for Anthony Dream Johnson. He's implying that the only reason I say this stuff is because Anthony's paying me money, which is so not the case because I haven't made a single dollar from Anthony Johnson. So that's like a very, very fucked up claim that I'm a crony for Anthony Johnson. I'm not claiming that you're a crony for Rollo. Like that's just like a really bizarre, strange argument to me.
Okay,
like,
but I can real quick, and then I'll let you guys on the bottom there get into it. But I'll explain the pattern. The pattern is you take an ultimate Rollo hater, which is Johnson. Okay, he sees you speaking against Rollo. He gives you an opportunity. He sees John Anthony speaking against Rollo. So John Anthony gets an opportunity. Kevin Ray Wilder is going to be next. And if you come out speaking against Rollo to the biggest Rollo hater of all time, y'all can all get opportunities. That's a pattern. That's not a mistake that you have just as much shit that you've said about Rollo as John Anthony does. John Anthony looks like he makes a hobby of it as well. So that's what got the attention of what y'all share mutually with Anthony Johnson. Y'all didn't get that particular conference because you're God-given talent. You may have gotten other conferences.
That's purely your speculation, Sabo. You don't know Dream Johnson.
What about the pattern? What about the pattern? That's not a pattern.
Have you ever heard of anything called a coincidence, where like two things can go together, but they don't necessarily.
Coincidences don't exist, brother. Only patterns.
Coincidences don't exist. Is that your statement?
Yeah. Tell me, for example, tell me an example of a coincidence.
Coincidence is that I'm wearing red today. That's a coincidence. I didn't plan to wear red. This is the shirt that I saw in my fucking drawer. A coincidence is when I came home, my roommate was cooking and I was hungry and I was able to eat some of that food. He didn't start cooking because I was hungry. He started cooking as a coincidence, right? So coincidences happen all the time, dude.
See how much of a literal robot he is? All right. Yo,
you asked me for a definition. Dude, like what? You argued.
And you answered it because you're fucking nuts. Afi, you guys kill it. All right. I got to run. Hey, yo, thanks for having me on.
I'm sorry I answered your question, bro.
Thank you for having me on. All right, I'll talk to you.
His criticisms are so bizarre. He's like, bro, you're like when people talk about definitions, you like to like look up the definitions. Like when I ask you a question, you like to answer the question. Like he's literally criticizing me for answering his question. Like, sorry, dude. Sorry for like fucking answering your question. It's bizarre.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like really. It's so bizarre when like he wouldn't be able to at least say, you know what, I really like Rollo. He did a lot for me. I disagree with your criticism, but the fact that he said you're crony for Anthony Johnson, yeah, that's kind of bizarre. Like if someone's not willing to say that, I don't know. Like Glenn, are you able to say that that's a inaccurate claim?
That I mean, I don't know enough facts
Oh
to.
no. Oh no.
I would just say, like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know your relationship. I don't know the facts. I don't even know what he was saying because I don't know anything other than what I know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything about Anthony Johnson other than that I know that he has a lot of hatred towards Rollo. That Rollo used to be part of his organization. They had a falling out of some sort, and that he spent a lot of time and investing in people that would be detractors of Rollo. I mean, I could say that the coincidences can hypothetically connect dots. You know what I'm saying? I think from outside looking in, be like, oh yeah, those dots do kind of connect there. That like, oh, this individual's talking bad about Rollo. I hate Rollo, according to Nancy Johnson, and I'm going to bring Rollo haters on my convention that would help further my narrative of Rollo haters. I mean, I could totally see that, you know, argument. I'm not saying it's factual. I could say that, you know what, the coincidences provide a good argument. And I'm not saying that that what he's saying is true. I'm saying that, you know, the coincidences are there.
Okay, this is a direct statement from Rollo Tomassi 12 days ago. Alex is a shrill for Anthony Dream Johnson, and as his evidence, he cites a video that Sabo made, which has absolutely nothing to do with Anthony Dream Johnson, which really begs the question, like, what he's thinking logically. He's saying
I don't
that.
agree with that. I just, like I said, I don't know the information. Like, I can't say you are a shrill for Anthony Dream Johnson. I can't say anything. I don't have facts to support me believing that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I do my due diligence and I do my research before I make an opinion on anything. And I can't make an opinion on this. All I can say is if that is the case, then those dots can connect and can make someone assume this. I would never say that this is indefinitely this without knowing the facts behind everything. Does that make sense?
It does. Let me ask the question a different way. Glenn, is there anything that you disagree with Rollo on? Is there anything you think that he's wrong about?
I would say that there's some things that I would say this. I believe 90% of what he says. The 10% that I don't know, I'm questioning because either I don't feel like I have enough understanding to make a decision on it, or I just don't have the relationship that Sabo has with him that could probably answer some of those questions to really. So I'm in the dark with about 10% of things where I just don't have an opinion on either way because I don't have enough information, in my opinion, to make a conscious decision. Does that make sense?
But is there anything that you can pinpoint that where you would say, you know what? Yeah, I don't like this, or he's wrong about that, or I'm not a fan of that?
Again, like I said, like the things that I will not say that I'm a fan of are the things that I don't have enough information to make a decision on. And
but there's nothing where you can say I have enough information to know that this is wrong, because John, like any content creator, even once we're my best friends, I can say, yeah, there's some things that I don't like about them. Like I can name any content creator you name me, I can name things that I disagree with them on. So is there anything you can name about Rollo that you disagree with him on?
I have a different rule number 6, right? The one that we were talking about, the living with somebody after 6 months or whatever. You know what I mean? I would say I have a different opinion on that. Like I obviously have been with my girl for a long time, so you know, and we're not married, and so I would say I would have a differing outlook on that. I wouldn't say indefinitely that it's a bad rule or disagree completely. I'm just saying for me that rule doesn't really apply or it doesn't really benefit me. Does that make sense?
It does, but I'll be honest, like it always. I don't know what's the right expression. I start questioning people when I feel like that they are incapable of criticizing someone, because to me, this notion that like there's one person who has that much content where we can't,
I don't necessarily agree with Fresh and Fit. I do think that, you know, they have some benefit to the community, but I mean, even I've told them before, like, I'm not a big fan of those guys, and it to me, I don't think that their audience, they do a really good service for the audience when they bring the same type of women on their show all the time. A lot of these women are really not a value women that I would really, conversate with. So I think that it could give a negative outlook towards women. So I really wouldn't, I disagree with him supporting them as much as he does, but I don't know those guys very well either. You know what I'm saying? So like, I wouldn't necessarily put. I just think that would have been. I think that's a bad move, in my opinion. And I know guys that also know Rollo also kind of stay away from Fashion Fit as well, just because they also see it as probably not necessarily the most positive, group of people to be associated with. But that's just me. So I would say I disagree with him with his support of them as much as he has.
Okay, I mean, okay, that's one thing. I mean, like, here's what it is for me. You can disagree. You're fully entitled to disagree with my interpretation of the rules. You're fully entitled to criticize me. Blah blah blah. I think no one's above criticism. But I do get. It does seem kind of sus to me when I get with a point where someone's like, I can't find one thing that I disagree with this person on, because everyone is wrong about something. I'm certainly wrong about some things, I'm sure. Roll is wrong about plenty of things. So when like we get into things like Alex is a shrill for Anthony Dream Johnson, Alex kills people, the NFT thing, what's it called, the lack of debate thing, and then when people are like, oh well, people just start playing devil's advocate to that extent, I'm like, okay, like you're probably like fairly biased at this point. Like,
I don't that you are killing men. I think your differing opinion can, in certain areas could be detrimental to some men if they don't understand things. I think we kind of explained that in our interpretations, different interpretation of the rules. I think that I don't think you're out here killing men, and I don't think that's your.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that.
So I would say agree with him on that. I mean, I don't know enough about you or your audience and their success, or some of them with lack of success, whoever had struggles. I don't know enough about that to support that claim. I would say that anytime we are critiquing somebody, we have to be very careful on what. I always try to be very neutral in the best of my ability when I listen to things that I disagree with. I try to look at things from both sides of the perspective to try to see if there was a bridge that we could cross on principle on things. And that's why I reached out to you. That's why I reached out, because I listened to what you said, and I was like, you know what? I really think there's a bridge that him and I could cross on here on our differences and come to some common ground or some common understanding on some of these rules here. And that's why I reached out to you. If I disagreed with you completely, I wouldn't have done that, because it's not good to just argue with somebody that's not going to agree with you on anything. It's pointless. It's like two dogs barking at a fence and just not getting anywhere.
No, I think it was a really good discussion for sure. What's it called? One thing I'm curious about, why didn't you just tell me you wanted to bring, I would have been cool with Sabo coming on, right? Like, I don't know, like you kind of did it in an odd way. I do got to admit.
It was funny because he hits me up while I'm on here. He's like, can you just drop the link? I'm like, I'm talking to you, I'm looking at him, and I was just like, and I was going to bring it up. But then I saw him in the background, like he's in the background already, like saying like, oh, he's here. I'm like, all right, well, Sabo's here, by the way. And I was going to let you know, like, hey, I gave him the link. He had something to say. I'm sorry for if that was disrespectful by any means.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I was just kind of confused why, like, I would have been totally down to have him on. Like, anyone's welcome to come on my stream who disagrees with me. I'm like always super transparent in that way. I just found that like kind of interesting, but I would have had him on either way.
We're gonna have a debate, and when we were in the middle of the stream, that's when he reached out to me, and again, I probably should have said it beforehand, like, hey, Sabo wants to come on and talk to, and that's my bad. I'll take that. That's
no, totally it's all good. It's not a big deal. I am kind of looking into why the reason I'm kind of distracted is because I'm looking at Rollo's NFT, and I don't know, like something I don't really believe Sabo when he says that he's like created the NFT or he's in charge of it. Do you have any insight on that? Because I'm looking it up right now, and I don't see Sabo's name anywhere on the website.
Well, okay, like I obviously know Sabo. I obviously know a lot of other guys that work with Rollo, and through my communications with them, they've all confirmed that like Sabo has been he's the one that decided brought up the NFT idea.
Oh, okay. Actually, yes, I do see him. Okay, I'm on the website now. Yeah, he is on the website. He's one of the many people involved in the project. But
Yeah,
okay. Okay, so that's weird. There's okay, this whole thing is bizarre. Let me share my screen and maybe you guys can give me some insight on that. Because okay, let me share the screen and then you guys can just comment on this. Share screen. Uh, Red Pill Alliance. Okay, so this is the NFT that Rollo launched. Now, who is Rocky Sabo? Like, was there like fucking? What is there like a fucking gang of the Sabo brothers or something?
I do believe that's a Sabo relative. I'm not sure if it's his brother or not. Like I'm recently connected with Sabo, with Kevin. And we have some projects that we're planning on doing in the future to make some good content for guys. But I'm not very familiar with the rest of his family. I believe that's a relative of his.
Okay. So they're both involved in the project, which explains why he's so supportive of it. But let's see if it says anything about a film. I want to see if they're actually being as transparent as Sabo was claiming. Being different things through finding a purpose, creating identity, bringing it was doing about things, physical health, we was changing narrative, giving. Okay, I don't see anything here about a film at all. The Red Pill Alliance NFT. Yeah, I don't see anything about this being like a GoFundMe for a film.
I do know. When Rollo did a stream about it before they even launched it, and he was talking about a film.
Here you go, Rollo. Now it's time. Now we ain't got to talk third person. There we go.
Okay, select rollers will be invited to part of Red Pill documentary. So there's a documentary. They're not lying about that, but it doesn't say anything about this supporting the documentary. You'll find a one conversation with Discord voice chase with Rolt. Yeah, okay, he was not being fully transparent, Sabo. Yeah, like this is he's made it seem like this whole NFT is just a GoFundMe for for a film, and that's clearly not the case.
Well, I mean, it's probably not spelled out there, but I'm saying there has been many streams that Rollo has done talking about the NFT and what the NFT purpose is for and how it's really to help support content creators and bring out some more Red Pill films. Even Rollo has alluded to, one of these days maybe writing a screenplay, for a film. So, I mean, he has spoke on it. I would agree that there's not enough information on the website that really spells out like this NFT supports a film. I would agree with that, and I think that's something that they could correct and clarify. That would definitely benefit them. But there is information somewhat. It's not enough, but there's definitely information that supports a film is being made with.
Yeah, I'm sure they're making a film. I don't doubt that, but I do find it like kind of bizarre when like Sabo was trying to justify like, oh, dude, it's not a scam. Like the people, like it kind of makes more sense. He's like, oh, but there's people who made like turned $3 into $3K. Yeah, you were one of those people, Sabo, probably because you're involved in the project. The way NFTs work, for anyone who's not familiar, the people on the inside circle who are involved in the project, they make bank. Everyone else loses money. Look, if Rollo wants to be like, hey, I'm fundraising, I'm starting GoFundMe for this film, that's totally fine. That's not problematic. He's more entitled to have a GoFundMe. But that's not what this is. And I think Sabo's being disgenuine when he's saying that. And clearly he probably received some financial benefit because the way NFTs work, the people on the inside make money, everyone else loses money. So yeah, like that's just bizarre to me. I don't know. But
I would,
Is that Rollo in the chat for real or not? Because if it is, I don't know how we can ignore that when we've been referencing him and he down there.
Rollo's in the chat? No way.
I mean, that'd be the only thing to do if we referencing the cat. He said he in there. So
he is in the chat. Alex, you're cloud chasing. I'll never debate you. Keep begging, peasant. Okay, cool, dude. Keep ripping people off with your NFTs and keep having little bitch fits on your stream and keep making odd claims that I'm a shrill for Anthony Johnson because I disagree with you. I mean, I think, dude, like Rollo, like everyone would respect you more if you're willing to like actually do what you say in your book, saying that like if someone disagrees with you, you should actually have the conversations instead of like I don't know, like just kind of like making odd comments. Like, why would you not want to have a debate? Like, why would you not want to like do what you say in your book? It's kind of
It's just
bizarre.
like this, Alex. I can tell you this: if that's the fake Rollo or it's not real Rollo, Rollo, if he were to debate you, it'll definitely be on his shit. So to think that you're gonna get him over here, you might as well just stop.
I mean, dude, I'd do it. I'd go on his channel and debate him.
Yeah,
Like,
you would.
I'm not.
It would have to be at his house, and that's just me just knowing him. He ain't gonna come over here. That's a fantasy.
Yeah, no, I'll debate. I'll go on his channel. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the logical way to do it. I mean, he just said he'll never do it, but I think the way to do it would be to co-stream it. But even, like, dude, if he insists on me going on his channel, I would do it as long as he agrees not to mute my mic or something like that. As long as he's not agrees to like not be disgenuine. But aside from that, yeah, I'll do it, dude. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm willing to debate people who disagree with me. I don't like as clearly this stream has shown that I don't give a shit. I have like nothing to hide still.
You know, I think that, you know, what we're doing.
So people are saying it's not really that's not really Rollo. Yeah, people are making good points. Rollo uses the rational male account. Yeah.
I don't think it's Rollo. I think it's
it's probably not.
I think it's a troll. And you know, it's funny because people like that stir up unnecessary strife. I mean, you got to think about it. We're all in the community of helping men. You know, we all need to realize that, like, the one thing that we don't need to do is fight amongst ourselves. We may disagree with certain things. Like, you know, I love Afi. Afi's my boy. Me and him we have another podcast called The Best Game, you know, and with Paul from Apex Mindset and AV from, you know, Alpha Villain. And we all have different perspectives and we are different places in our lives. And a lot of things that sometimes the Afi says, I'm like, you know what, that may work for him, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't, I can't apply those tactics in my life because it wouldn't benefit me the way that I would want it to benefit me. But it doesn't mean like I'm going to, you know, have a complete, you know, do a video, you know, discrediting him. I think what we need to do in this community is build more bridges than we are burning. Because, you know, we have enough people burning bridges and calling people in our sphere toxic. We're all toxic masculine men. We all have, you know, little dick syndrome. And I really think we should be focused on, you know, not our differences so much, but our common ground and really build up, you know, these things and build up these platforms. Like I give you credit, Alex, for letting me come on and having this conversation. I really think that was really, you know, big of you. And I think if, you know, Rollo allowed you guys to have a debate, I think that would be great for both of us. I think it would be great for the community to really have a discussing of difference of ideas and trying to find a common ground where we could see each other's perspectives, even though we don't have to necessarily agree with them, but we could see the logic and understand them. And I thought that's what we did in this debate.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think that type of collaboration, that type of discord really benefits the community rather than tears it down. And I think we really need to work on doing more of that. I mean, there's a lot of bad actors out there. And I wouldn't say you're a bad actor, and I wouldn't say Rollo's a bad actor. I wouldn't say Afi's a bad actor, you know, or Sabo's a bad actor. I wouldn't say any of you guys are a bad actor. I would say
an actor at all.
After I found out that Sabo is directly involved in the NFT project, I kind of have my doubts, but maybe, yeah. But I wouldn't say you're a bad actor. No, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree that we should have that. Yeah, we shouldn't like tear each other down. But I think we should be able to call out bad ideas, and we should be able to have healthy discussions and disagreements. And obviously, it rubbed me the wrong way when Rollo said that I kill people or that I'm a shrill for Anthony Johnson. I never actually, I called him a bitch, but I never actually said that he's killing people or said that he's like a shrill for someone else. Like, that obviously rubbed me the wrong way. Like, he said way more extreme things about me than I ever said about him. So yeah, like, obviously, like, you know, that rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm being like extra critical. But yeah, like, if he was willing to debate me, I would definitely gain massive amounts of respect for him. That's for sure. I don't think he is.
When it comes to the NFT though, like, and this is just me speaking, like, my opinion. We know that the NFTs have a history of, you know, coming out bad. But you know what? It's always a wait and see type of thing. I'm always one of those people like, let's just wait and see if these people are gonna do what they say they're gonna do with it. And if they do, let's praise them for it. You know, let's say,
Bro, but like people were waiting and seeing if Bernie Madoff was going to do the right thing, but he never was. Like
well,
at a
yeah,
certain point, we have to be able to say, okay, this is a scam.
I'm just saying, like, wait and let's just wait until the cookie crumbles a little bit before we make, you know, because I think you would hate to have to retract a statement if they do what they say they're going to do with the because I know these guys. I know the project that they're working on personally because I had a conversation with Rich Cooper about doing a documentary before on the red pill.
No. I think you're misunderstanding me, Glenn. I believe that they're going to do a documentary. I can see that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just disagree with this notion that they're fully honest and transparent, that they're like, that this is just like a GoFundMe for the documentary. I don't believe that. I think they're personally going to profiteer off that. Like, I truly believe that.
But you did allude that you were concerned that that the NFT wasn't going to go to support the film. And I'm just saying, okay.
No. I think some of the money is going to go to support the film. I just don't think they're being transparent about it nearly as much as Sabo says, and I don't think all the money is going to go there. I think they're going to personally profiteer off this shit, and he would have to disclose his financial statements to prove me
yeah,
right.
I think everybody would have to do some fact checking on that. I mean, if for the statement for if he made the statement that all this money from the NFT is going to go to 100% to the film. I think anybody that invests in the NFT has every right to know exactly where their funds go. Just like when you just fund a nonprofit.
But the way NFTs work, I mean, again, not to be repetitive, is that the people on the inside make bank and the people on the outside lose their money. That's just the way every single NFT in the history of NFTs has ever worked. And so, like, that just, like, I don't know. That's just like, you know, that's not even debatable. That's how, like, literally every single NFT since the history of NFTs has worked.
Trust but verify. Trust that he's going to do what he says he's going to do with the NFT, and verify whether or not he does it or not.
But there's no way I can verify because he's not going to let me go through his financial statements.
Well, you don't know that. He might be very transparent and say, you know what, fine.
Dude, there's no way. I mean, that's not going to happen.
This is something. I'm on some real shit. I'm not trolling them because just from my background, I don't even really understand. Like when I came to YouTube, I'm used to it now, but I want to ask, why the fuck do people care so much about other people? I don't understand it, bro. I don't even understand like why these details matter and why you want to find out like, and then what? Like, so you can just say somebody's full of shit. Like, I hear it, but I don't understand like why it matters. If Sabo and Rollo are full of shit, so fucking what? It doesn't affect nobody but the other people. Like, just
if they're scamming people, that does affect the community, and that gives the community a bad reputation. I like you, Afi, but if I found out you were scamming people, I would call you out. Like, I'm sorry, but like I have an obligation to the community to call out people who are scamming that community. I think it's important for people to do that, you know, in the community.
I don't have a way to scam people outright.
No, I know. That's why I respect you. Like, you don't do that.
I do consult, and I consult. So that's, I mean.
But I think you would do that to me too. Like, let's say you found out that I was scamming people. Like, would you want to collaborate with me after that?
No, I wouldn't want to collaborate with you, but I wouldn't talk shit about you online either. I wouldn't put your name.
Well, you and I are different in that sense. If I found out that someone is scamming people,
if Glenn slapped 5 of his hoes, I wouldn't give a shit because I'm not fucking none of those bitches, so it don't matter to me.
But like, let's say Glenn was like beating women, like, and he was like a popular influence in the community. Like, we would want to call that out. Like, we want to call out bad behavior.
Well,
you would want to call that. I wouldn't give a fuck. I would just me and Glenn just wouldn't be cool, but I wouldn't have to like let everybody know. I don't care. That shit ain't got nothing to do with my pockets. And the shit.
Yeah, you and I are different in that sense, Afi, and that's fine. You know, we don't all have to like think the same way on that. I do want to kind of wrap up the stream soon because we've been going for 3.5 hours.
I'm ready.
Nick is killing me, but I'll give you guys like the last words. I mean, I do really appreciate you, Glenn. We had a good discussion, and you were genuine, which is not often. I wouldn't really say the same thing about Sabo, but okay, they got some personal history, him and Rollo. That's fine. But yeah, I'll give you guys the final words.
I would like to say that, I really hope that, through this stream, that I would like to highlight that we did find some common ground that we could agree on some of the rules that you were once against, and probably still are against, but you at least saw a different perspective of them. and you said that those perspectives were good, and I think that that's a success. I think that's very beneficial for the guys in your community, because maybe now they will take my opinion of it, and they might see it positively too, and they might see benefit in their life, and you might see it positively in those areas and benefit in your life. And I just really want that to be the essence of this whole stream, not everything else. I agree to the title of Fanboy, because I mean, I want to say that, Alex didn't just throw that out there and tag me to that. He asked me, I laughed about it in the voice.
Yeah. No, I'm not above clickbait. I'll do clickbaity things.
Yeah, and I am a Rollo. I would say not a fan. I respect him and his work. I respect his due diligence that he did with his work. I've seen benefits in it, and I appreciate his work. Same thing with Offie's. I've read a lot of Offie's book. He sends them to me all the time on a link, and I appreciate Offie's work. Alex, I'll be encouraged. I'll be eager to read your work as well,
Cool,
and definitely get a view. I really appreciate this time. I really hope that you could agree that we bridge some differences, maybe differences of opinion in all this, and
I agree with
that I hope that the guys and everybody in the chat that were paying attention and listening for the last 3.5 hours also take home some positive things and that can benefit from it. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for coming on. Afi, do you have any last words?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm not gonna just preach my narrative. Just appreciate you having me on. If you guys want to check me out, I'm a YouTuber. Been doing it 4 years. My channel is Afi Kingdom. My Instagram is International Afi Kingdom. And I would just say, man, for you guys, just focus on the shit that you want to do, bro, and then everything comes to you. So you want to see some, like I write books. I'm an artist. I'm a sculptor. I do sculptures and shit. I'm a dog dad. I'm a happy dude, and that's for me. That's how come I can't lose a debate, because I care about the shit that I do too much. But just sending positive energy to everybody. So y'all want to check me out? Subscribe to my channel. Fucking Google me. Follow me on Amazon. I wrote 20 books. You feel me? So check that out. We got kids books. We got psychology books. We got game books. We got books for hoes. We got everything, bro. And see, that's what I'm saying, because I'm passionate about this shit, bro. And you see, I sound like an LA pimp. Well, you close. I'm an Oakland pimp. See, you almost close. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from Oakland. So you a little close. That's the Oakland shit, bro. So we built a little different. You know what I'm saying? So check me out and follow me on Instagram. And if you leave me some comments with some bullshit, I'm gonna hit you off once for engagement, and then I'm gonna block your ass. So that's how it goes. So don't think you're gonna ruffle my feathers. I'm gonna get the gauge shit going on, and then I'm gonna block you. So I don't fuck with nothing but positive energy on my fucking shit. Just a heads up.
And once they shout out to Trav, I see Trav in the chat.
Yeah, me and Afi are different in that way. I never block people in my comments. I actually love engaging with the haters because I think it's kind of funny, and I enjoy trolling people. But yeah, it was a good discussion, guys. Thanks everyone for coming on. Thanks everyone for joining. This was a good discussion. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the surprise, the pop appearance by Sabo. That was also entertaining. All right, guys. Peace.